It's the Odd Drunk Podcast, a very strange podcast, the drunkest show in the world. It's Jackson and Colton talking out of their ass. We don't care as long as drinks are poured. Sometimes we have our friends here. We will talk about anything. We don't care as long as we have beer. And if you let that whiskey ring, the Odd Drunk Podcast.
Eventually, we're gonna just stop caring.
Yeah, I'm almost to that point.
But
we could probably get a little bit further before we
have podcast integrity. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome back to the Odd Drunk Pod, everybody, with your hosts Colton and Jackson.
Welcome.
And this is the first Odd Drunk podcast we've recorded remote. Well, actually, it's not the first one we recorded remotely, but the first one we've recorded since I've moved.
Yes.
If you go listen to Morning Oddities, our new morning show, short form, 30 minutes or so, we drink coffee instead of booze. It's a more chilled out.
It's a casual podcast. It's
casual. It's you'll get the pure, just like distilled versions of ourselves.
Yeah. Often with a very weird energy.
Yeah, often just like tired and we don't feel like doing it, but we're doing it, you know. That happens here sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, I recently moved to Mesa, Arizona, which is generally in the Phoenix area. And
generally, sometimes it's not though.
Yeah, sometimes it's not.
Makes it really hard to go on vacations because you have to keep track of that shit.
Yeah, it's always
you're coming back.
It's always popping up in a different spot. Yeah,
like it's generally in the Phoenix area, but
yeah.
But last time you came home from vacation, you had to fly into Austin.
Well, for anyone that doesn't know what Mesa is, yeah, it's in Maricopa County. If you want me to get more specific, generally. But yeah, I recently moved there and but doing good. Yeah, it's very hot. I I'll tell you, it was so fucking annoying how many people told me like, "Oh, you know it's hot there, right?" And like, no, I never thought of that it's hot in Arizona. Like, come on. I know. But no, it's been doing good. It's nice to be in a city again, and we talked about it in the Morning Oddities, and if you want to listen to more of that, we have the whole last episode's just talking about our lives, but you don't want to hear that here, and I don't like repeating myself.
Yeah,
it's not natural.
Go listen to Morning Oddities.
But yeah, I'm doing good, and yeah, I have a cat now. If you want a quick update, her name's Domino, black cat. She's pretty cool. I did get her one of those calming collars though.
What are those?
It basically chills her out. Cause like one night she was like meowing like very loud, like yelling. And kept me up all night. But no, she's been doing good now. Been pretty chill. I did trim her claws though, because at the adoption center they let them grow very long, and she wasn't scratching us or anything. She wasn't bad about that. But as far as damaging the carpet, I don't want to deal with that. And also, it was getting to the point where the claws were starting to curl in on themselves.
Oh yeah,
which would start hurting her.
No, yeah, I'm
get infections, and
I'm generally very against clipping cats' claws, but it's you can do stuff like get them scratching posts so they can kind of keep their claws at a healthy length. But I think you said in the Morning Oddities that this cat doesn't like to scratch stuff very much.
She likes to scratch everything. I mean, she'll scratch the scratching post thing, but she'll scratch other things. No, she doesn't scratch people. And yeah, I just trimmed it where they're not razor sharp.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you got to be really careful with cat's claws when trimming them.
But no, didn't hurt her or anything. I mean, you have to go pretty far up to hit the nerve. but I just got just a tip. but, but yeah, she's doing good. So anyways, we both been busy. I myself have been very busy with the move and everything. Like tomorrow I'm gonna try to get my Arizona license and everything, and I have to get an emissions test first though before I can get my car registered.
You have to do that.
So
some states don't require that you do that, but
well, not in the entirety of Arizona, but in this county, in the city, they require it. So there's some other things I gotta do, but just one step at a time. But yeah, we've both been busy, and so for this episode, you came up with the idea. Let's do a tier list again. Those are easy.
Yeah. We haven't done a tier list in a while.
Unless you count for a good episode.
Unless you count the last time we updated our Spider-Man tier list.
Well, that wasn't a tier list. That's not a tier list.
Like, yeah,
that was a ranking in order, and that's reasonable. Yeah. Also, we've almost completed all the Spider-Man movies or commentaries.
Yeah, we got one more left.
One more. I wanted to spread them out more, but
we just been so busy.
I was too busy. I couldn't. I mean, I could have tried.
That's why we record them, though. So exactly for those situations.
Yeah, because there's been times, and there's going to be times again, I'm sure, where we miss a week or two. But I mean, throughout our entirety, through our entire history as a podcast, we've only missed a few weeks. Out of 3 years.
Yeah, unless you include January, which we take off on purpose.
Well, that's our break, doesn't count. That's our break, January.
Not counting that, we've only had to take a week or two off a few times.
Yeah, we try to keep it rolling, but sometimes it can drive you insane.
Yeah.
We've talked about before. I mean, now it's going to be even weirder since we're distant, since it's virtual. But how the podcast affects our friendship. I don't think it really has, but it has gotten to the point lately where it's like whenever we hang out, we're like, oh, that would be a good podcast idea.
Yeah, we end up talking about the podcast when we're out at the bar. Yeah,
and not just talking about the numbers and all that. And thank you to everybody that's been downloading. I haven't really been keeping track of that lately, but thank you. We appreciate it.
Numbers have been good.
Yeah, they've been consistent. But and it's good to see some new ratings and stuff like that. I seen some new ones on Spotify pop up. Seen some on Morning Oddities actually.
Yeah.
Even though I can't see the stats, but I can see it as an observer, as the audience.
Yeah. Morning Oddities, our numbers are lower, but I'm in the middle of right now dealing with all the Anchor / Spotify does not make it easy to get your platform or get on other platforms. So I'm dealing. It's a bunch of.
Well, I know we did on Spotify.
We
did it there because it's free.
Yeah, but and you can we can get it on other platforms, but you have to do stuff with the RSS feed link and stuff like that, and it's weird. And I had
to do that with the Odd Drunk Pod too.
Yeah, what I've noticed is
the RSS feed.
So we're on Apple Podcasts now. Morning Oddities.
Nice.
And we should be on Google Podcasts soon, but the problem is Google takes forever to verify RSS feed. Well, it's a good idea to get us on Google because we're more likely to show up in Google search results.
Algorithm.
Yeah. We want to be on Google.
And I know
Podcasts.
You were thinking about retroactively retitling episodes. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, just so
because we've just been literally doing Morning Oddities 1, 2.
What I've found is so far on Google, if you search up Morning Oddities podcast, you get one search result that is us. Everything else is something else. So
right.
I'm working on trying to get us to show up in search results.
Nice.
All Drunk Podcast doesn't have that problem. However, you set that up years ago, you did a good job.
Well, there's nothing else called All Drunk Podcast.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other like drinking podcasts. That's a huge thing. But All Drunk Podcast, that's ours. Copyright it. Well, I haven't actually. Well, Podbean copyrighted it, but I don't know how well that would work in the court of law. But
you need to just mail to yourself the old school way of copywriting something.
Right. But anyways, yeah, you came up with the idea. Let's just do a tier list. That's easy enough. And well, and I was like, why not do the MCU tier list?
Yeah. We've been
all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
We've talked about it. We've not done it yet.
We've been sitting on it for a long time. We've been waiting because, you know, when we thought about doing it before, we were kind of in a weird in-between phase, like in the middle, like the beginning of phase 4, and like there was movies I mean, there's always going to be new ones coming up. But right now, writer strike, and now there's an actor strike, I believe.
Yep.
So now everything's super delayed. So I think this is a good moment in time to
almost everything is on hold right now.
Yeah.
And for probably the way it's looking for possibly months.
Yeah, and I know Deadpool 3 was filming.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've seen the set footage of photos of Hugh Jackman in the yellow and blue Wolverine suit, which is awesome. And they're like fighting on the 20th Century Fox logo, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But now that's on a halt. So entertainment world is definitely gonna be interesting within the next few months.
Yeah, last time the writers and actors were on strike at the same time was in the 80s.
Right, because the last writer strike was what, 09?
2008.
07, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, was it 8?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was the 80s when the writers and actors went on strike?
At the same time. Last time they were both on strike at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah. I mean, the actors thing, maybe they're doing it in just solidarity. I haven't been reading up on it. I don't know.
I don't know the details, but
the writers one, I definitely understand the validity of the writers' strike. They want to be paid fair wages and compensated for having their works put on different streaming services and all that, and a lot more than I probably don't know.
I haven't kept up with it. I don't know a ton about it, but that's a big part of it. Apparently, I saw something today. It also has to do with AI, like they're on, the actors are on strike about like AI copyright infringement too.
Right.
Like so I saw Roger Clark, who plays Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2. He responded to some comment today. It was like he has like a TikTok account, and people they use the AI voice generation to do like Arthur and Dutch talking about stupid stuff, and someone tagged him in it.
This could take away their jobs.
Well, someone tagged him in it saying like they thought he would enjoy it, and he made a response video saying, "No, I don't like this because it's plagiarism," and that's one of the big reasons we're on strike right now.
Yeah, it is.
It's wild, yeah.
And Disney/Marvel, which we're going to be getting into, but they took a big swing with Secret Invasion, where the intro sequence, which is, a fairly insignificant part of the production, but still, the intro sequence, the artwork and everything is AI generated. Mm-hmm. And apparently they claim that artists still collaborated, and like some of it is real art maybe, but when I saw it, I was like, I could have done this.
Yeah,
just give the AI to prompt, okay, Nick Fury scrolls New York explosions. I
think it's partly trying the
cinematic
whole drama with AI right now is partly actors and writers trying to guarantee that they have jobs, even when there is AI that companies can use.
AI needs to be a tool, not.
And then the other thing is that like there are there's AI out there that can mimic voices and art styles, and there's a line that we have to draw on when that is plagiarism. When is that
like
infringement on someone's, image?
We've played around with the AI art and stuff, and we played around with AI on a few episodes, to be honest.
But we didn't do any of like the write a story in the style of George R.R. Martin.
No, we didn't do any of that. But even everything that the AI, like when you give the AI any prompt, anything, what it's doing, it's not coming up with its own original thought. It's not actual intelligence. All it is just searching the internet for all these sources.
It would be like
you could tell the AI to write an essay on Cesar Chavez, and it would scan the internet and literally take from other people's essays, academic writings, and then conglomerate that into its own thing.
Yeah.
And that's plagiarism. And I'm really curious because this wasn't, at least it wasn't as publicly available while we were in school. But I bet like college professors and especially in high school too, I bet it's even worse. Like where students are just putting in a prompt in AI to do their essay. I mean, and if you're smart, you would use the AI to like get you started or like get you a baseline. I could see myself doing that, like just using it as a tool. And that's like what I'm saying. It needs to be regulated. And this is something where I want the government to step in and regulate this, where AI, yes, it's great. But it needs to be used as a tool and not as a replacement for artists and for writers. And
of many reasons why when you're in college, they want you to cite stuff.
Oh, exactly.
Because you can. I've what you said, like write an essay about Cesar Chavez. That was my thesis for my degree, was about Cesar Chavez. So I went into a while back, like a few months ago, just to see what would happen. I went into ChatGPT and asked it to write an essay about Cesar Chavez just to see what it would write.
Was it pretty good?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was a high school level.
I'm glad
essay.
It's not.
So like,
but for high school, you could probably get away with it.
Oh, that's kind of where I'm going. Like on a college level, I'm sure you could utilize it, but it'd be harder to get away with.
You could use it as a tool. Like
you don't have
I
citations.
need just ideas.
It's really basic surface level stuff that it brings up. But I could totally see a high school student getting away with it.
Yeah, completely. But like in college, it could be a great tool. Like if you're completely stuck, it could help you get started. It could be a great songwriting tool.
For coming up with prompts and stuff like that.
Prompts and like outlines.
That's is useful stuff. But yeah, it's
look at where we are with AI at this moment. Imagine the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If it goes unchecked, it's gonna get to the point where you really don't need to pay people, and you don't need.
And that's one of the many reasons. There's other stuff too with streaming services, why they're writers and actors on strike. But that's
it's not just the AI thing.
One aspect of it is say in a few years, Marvel wants to create an animated show about Iron Man, and they use an AI voice generator to make it sound like Robert Downey Jr. Do you pay Robert Downey Jr.?
Well, yeah, we've talked about this before a little bit. Like in Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, you have the whole young indie portion in the beginning, like for 20 minutes of the film. Pretty cool. Looks iffy on some parts, but I suspended my disbelief and just went with it and had fun with it. I generally like that movie. In fact, I think I might like it more on second watch.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, but it's fine. Go. Good morning, oddities. Go listen to our review. We did a review on there.
Yeah, whatever number that is. But
8, something like that. I think
if the artist, if the actor signs off, if they agree to it and sign off the rights, they're like, yeah, even after I'm dead, you could you can use my image, my likeness, my voice in future productions, and the funds would go to my family and inheritance and whatever. I think that would be okay, but what's scary is I just see studios.
It's so easy to just do
what's
it and
gonna
ask
stop
for
them?
forgiveness later. Like
Right.
it's.
I know I think Steven Spielberg, maybe it's not him, but I know a high profile director is gonna make a new movie starring James Dean.
What?
AI James Dean.
I don't know how I feel about that.
So deep fake James Dean. So but
yeah.
And I really don't know how I feel about that because obviously he's long dead, so he doesn't have any say. It's just his family. And you know how that goes.
In some ways, I feel better about them doing it with someone who's been gone for a long time, because it's like if they're a
but like James Earl Jones
sign off on it, that's fine. But say
James Earl Jones, he signed off to let Disney AI his voice.
Yeah.
For future Darth
like,
Vader
say,
roles
for example,
and whatever.
You take some actor who's not like a big A-list actor. Say, going back to Red Dead Redemption, take Roger Clark, Arthur Morgan. What if, he's not a big A-list actor, so he doesn't have like a bunch of money to throw around for legal fees. Say HBO bought the rights to Red Dead Redemption, made an animated TV show, and just got an AI to do the voice. What's gonna end?
No,
and they
that's
just
a big problem.
Take the approach of we'll just do this and then deal with the lawsuit, because Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark's not a big A-list guy who can afford a big lawsuit.
I mean, I hope they would have the moral gumption to actually just hire Roger Clark if they did an animated thing.
I would hope so. I mean, he would.
I would be honestly.
To do it, but...
After this is kind of diverging here, and we're gonna get into the topic here, but a Red Dead Redemption HBO series could be fire.
I think
if they do it the way they did the Last of Us series, where it adapts the game, but it makes it work for a show that with the pacing and with.
Well, I think a TV show would be the only way you could do a Red Dead.
Oh yeah, it would have to be a long
form.
I
imagine Red Dead 2. That's split into 6 chapters in the game. Each chapter is a season, 6 episodes or something like that.
Yeah,
like that could work. Yeah.
That would be pretty if they did it well, and if they did it with the same care as they did with the Last of Us series. Because even though the Last of Us series isn't like extremely accurate, it's one of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen.
So I'm gonna pull up here just some examples. People have come up with
an adaptation.
People have come up with some fan castings for if they were to do a live
honestly
action. So here's a couple here. Jeffrey Dean Morgan from The Walking Dead. He plays Negan.
Who would he be though?
Dutch. He'd be a pretty good Dutch.
I could see him doing a Dutch.
There's some pretty cool fan castings that people have come up with. Let's see here.
The younger Johnny Depp wouldn't have been a bad John Marston. He could still be a good John Marston, maybe.
Yeah.
But that would be hard to pull. John Marston would be kind of awkward to pull off because he has a very like old man voice.
Yeah, he's the one that I don't see. His voice is so distinct that it'd be weird. Him and Dutch are the two.
It would be weird not to do the voice, but it would be weird to see someone else doing it.
Yeah, like
not in a video game setting.
And Dutch, some of the other characters, Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark is pretty distinct, but you could do an archetype of his voice and it would work. But
Let's Dutch, get Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. Here's one. This person says Christian Bale as Dutch van der Linde.
Nah.
Yeah. This one's perfect,
I can see though. Christian Bale.
This one is perfect if he can manage to not be grumpy the whole time.
Then again, Christian Bale could
Clint
do
Eastwood as
probably.
Hosea.
Yeah, if he was younger.
If he could manage to not be grumpy the whole fucking time.
Right, because Hosea's like a nice
Hosea can be grumpy, but
version. He
not
can be
pervasively
grumpy, but he's generally the optimist. Generally,
Yeah,
um.
there's some fun like
Anyways,
interactions you see with
um.
Hosea in the open world where he like threatens the like Bill with a gun and stuff
Oh
like that
yeah,
because he gets
yeah,
just
yeah.
pissed off at him. Anyway, side tangent
What are
there.
we drinking?
Yeah, let's go there. I'll go first. I've got from Four Noses. We had it a while back. The Rio Lento Mexican lager.
Love that one.
It's good beer. Super tasty.
I doubt. I mean, I'll try to find it, but who knows?
I
But
don't know how easy Four Noses is to find down there, but
I've been trying to get some local stuff. I mean, the first beer I got here was Banquet, but
yeah,
um,
nice.
but I've got some more local stuff around my area. I'm out of it now, but I had the Scottsdale Blonde from Huss Brewing, but not brewed in Scottsdale, brewed in Tempe, Arizona.
Ah,
So that's a bit of a farce, but it was a pretty good Kolsch, just a solid Kolsch.
I love a good
And then
Kolsch,
the
especially
one
in the summer.
one I've got now is the Big Blue Van Blueberry Wheat
Ooh,
lager, and it's from College Street Brew House from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Um, the
nice.
description says a groovy American style wheat beer infused with the far out flavors of blueberry vanilla. So when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with blah 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 hippie stuff, but but it's pretty good. I think this is like the first blueberry forward beer I've had. Uh,
I've not tried any blueberry forward beers. Um,
Blueberry forward was my nickname in high school.
I was waiting for that. Yeah. Uh, I've seen some blueberry beers, but I've not tried them.
Pretty good.
Nice.
It's not something I would get all the time, but to switch things up, it's not bad. Like it's good. Um, but I think I prefer blueberry more with my coffee than I do with my beer.
Yeah,
Shout out to Blue and Berry from Death Wish
it's good.
Coffee
That's
Company.
good coffee. Yeah.
Have you had it?
No, I've had Death Wish though.
Are you? Yeah, Death Wish is a good
Death Wish
brand
is
for
good
sure.
coffee,
So
and yeah.
you should try that one. It's pretty good. But yeah, pretty good. And I've also got. Actually, I moved with it. I took it with me. Plantation.
Haha.
Yeah. So the
Should
pineapple
that should be
plantation.
pretty easy to find down there. Plantation, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty widespread.
At one of the Walmarts here, they had bamboo rum.
At Walmart?
Both the regular version and the reserve.
What?
Yeah, they actually have a
Right.
It's
Arizona is one
there's
of
not
those
quite a
states
lot
that,
of liquor stores around here
yeah, they're
because
one of
the
those
grocery
states that
stores
all
can
the grocery
sell
stores
liquor.
have. Yeah. That's how it
And
was
I
when I was growing
know,
up in California. I mean, there are
like,
some small liquor stores, but most of it is like the
at grocery
Ralph's
stores.
has like a full
Yeah,
section that's like the size of a liquor store.
which as a consumer, yes, it's convenient. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to be able to get everything at one stop. But that sucks for liquor stores.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I mean, has there been any talk about Colorado? Because Colorado now has wine
Uh-huh.
at their grocery stures.
Yep. And we felt it. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean the liquor store I work at happens to be one that if it got so bad that liquor stores were going out of business because of this sort of thing, we might survive because we've got
That's
the
good.
clientele, we're good location and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
no, we've been feeling it, and um, they when it comes to the idea of having liquor in stores as well. They say it's not going to happen anytime soon, but I don't believe that because they when Colorado made what was it 4 or 5 years ago they passed beer over 3% or whatever it is in grocery stores.
Yeah, I remember that happened while I was living
when
there.
they passed that, they were all saying, "Oh yeah, we're not going to consider doing anything else for like at least a decade." And that was a fucking lie.
And then what, like 2 years later, you get wine in grocery stores. So
so I don't know.
that is scary.
It's I mean, the dynamic of Colorado is interesting because this is, where I'm on the western slope, and not a lot of the people on the western slope I think are really in favor of that, but it's the Front Range that is everyone's voting for this sort of stuff.
Yep.
So we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Probably by that point, I won't be working at a liquor store still.
Right. But as a consumer, it is nice as a consumer.
Yeah.
But I also feel bad. I like going to my local liquor store, But anyways, let's get in to the MCU tier list. It's been long enough. I'm gonna share the screen.
Cool. We've talked about doing this for a while.
You gotta enable screen sharing.
Oh yeah, right. Every time we talk about doing this, hold on, let's see.
We put it off.
All participants. There we go.
We're like, oh, it's too much.
There we go. We're either at a
good point.
Not at a good point to do it, or like I don't know. It's an intimidating task doing a tier list of all the MCU films.
Right, because I haven't been. I mean, I've seen most of these enough where I can easily state my opinion.
It's a lot of movies, but here's the thing.
Here's
the thing: a lot of tier list people have been doing recently. I've noticed this on YouTube and such. They're adding more tiers to the tier list. They're having an SS tier.
That's stupid.
Or an F- tier and all this sort of shit. And it's like, because they can't make up their minds, so that they're like, oh, these movies this is S tier, but oh, this movie's even better, so it's a double S tier. No, you have to fit them all.
By the way,
E.
I think E is a stupid fucking tier. That's not in the grading system. You don't get an E in school. So it's going to be S, A, B. I mean, you don't get S in school either, but come on, S tier, that's ubiquitous. Yeah. It's going to be S, A, B, C, D, F. And then at the bottom, to be fair, I'm going to put haven't seen.
There's 3 that I have.
But maybe the fact I haven't seen it is a bad thing. Yeah. We'll talk about it when we get there. There's a few. There's only a few I haven't seen.
Yeah, there's I think 3, if I'm not, and we're not doing the TV shows.
Well, they're on this list.
If you want,
we can skip them if you want, but they are on the one I'm using. Can you see this?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
Cool.
No, but we're not doing any of that shit of extra tiers. No, we have to fit everything in the tier list, even if that means putting a good movie at a lower tier than you might want it to.
Exactly.
That's how that's the fun of this.
So yeah, how we're gonna do this. We're not gonna do it in any particular order aside from the order that it's presented in this tier list. It appears to be alphabetical order, but who really cares? I don't think it even is, but who cares? So let's get this started. So first we have Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I like
this one's movie. Very mid.
It's a mid movie.
It's mid for me.
But
I've only seen it like 2 times, 3 times.
I've seen it 4 or 5 times. It's fun. It's a good romp. I always liked Michael Douglas.
It's largely inconsequential. I mean, I guess aside from the bit where he gets trapped in quantum realm.
John Krasinski's really good in it.
John Krasinski's great. Yeah. It's crazy we got him twice in MCU as 2 different characters.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Good.
He's good in it. I would put that at a C tier. Um, personally, only because there's better movies to come on this list.
And I think C tier is fair because it's a fun romp.
It
It's
could move
not.
up to B if after a
I
few
don't think
movies
it
are in
would.
here, but
Let's sit it at C. It's right in the middle. It's just a fun romp, but it's not one I rewatch.
yeah,
It's
I
not
think
one that I dislike. Like if it's on for whatever reason, I'll watch it.
yeah, I think
Uh,
Ghost is a really kind of forgettable villain, even though she's an interesting like in
her
concept.
powers are fun. But yeah, kind of forgettable villain. I like Evangeline Lilly
Mm-hmm.
and Paul Rudd, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think C tier is pretty solid for
Yeah,
that
Lawrence
one.
Fishburne's in that, but he's kind of lame in
Yep,
it. He's just
he's kind of like he doesn't actually really do anything. He
yeah.
just has some speaking roles. Next we have Ant-Man, the original. I put this above Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think
I
it's a
yeah, I think I
small
would too.
scale, old school feeling MCU movie. It feels phase one, even though it's like in two or three.
Mm-hmm.
Um or it kicked off three or whatever. But it's fun. It I love Guillermo, or no, not Guillermo, Luis.
Oh yeah, he's so good in that. I like Ant-Man because it's an origin story movie, but it's like it doesn't try to be anything else. It's just it hits all the beats that you need it to hit. Um,
It feels very old school in a good
yeah,
way. It's
I
fun.
like that the villain
It's
is a knockoff Jeff Bezos.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, Darren Cross. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh bald rich maniac.
I do like that they
Yeah.
brought him back in Ant-Man and Quantum Mania as MODOK. I thought that was weird and I liked it.
It was definitely very weird, and that's way down the line here on this list, but we
we'll
will get
we'll
to it
we'll get to
eventually.
that. Yeah.
Um, I have some thoughts about that movie, but I would put Ant-Man. I mean, compared to the rest of the MCU, it's probably still C.
I'd put it C, but maybe above Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like,
It's a high C,
yeah,
C plus.
yes.
All right, this one is going to be a little tricky because I think it got a little bit too much hate for what it is.
I think it still gets a lot of hate.
But it's also not unreasonable hate. Like
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's quite mid. I think it's slightly above mid. But we have Avengers: Age of Ultron.
This is Joss Whedon at his uh finest.
Oh, it's very Josh
At
Whedon.
his
Take it
most
or leave it.
Joss Whedon-esque. Like, I mean,
Has blatant. Oh, like Bruce Banner falls in the Black Widow's boobs. There's Black Widow boobs. There's cheap, corny jokes.
I've watched my share of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was also Joss Whedon, and you know what? You can watch this and Buffy the Vampire Slayer back to back and tell it's the same director.
Oh yeah, it's very Josh Whedon. I really like Ultron.
James Spader.
James Spader, yeah,
is so good as Ultron.
He's great. I love his personality. It's a shame that he was only in this movie thus far. I know Ultron came back in What If and animated, but it's called Age of Ultron, but it's literally like the week of Ultron. Oh, bless you. But it's like the week of Ultron. It doesn't have like the Age of Ultron comic story is this huge global, or not even global, like universal scale event with time traveling and all kinds of stuff. Every character you can think of, it's this huge thing. And it still feels quite small. But we get the addition of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth Olsen has really grown into that character, and I'm it's crazy we got her in this where they were too afraid and didn't well too afraid and they didn't have the rights to like do the mutant thing or anything like
Yeah.
that, where they were just like, oh, she's just a Hydra experiment, and it's not magic, it's like it's when they were still too afraid to really embrace the comic bookiness.
I'm glad that they've evolved her
But
character since then.
yeah,
Like
and
she's
then
not
Quicksilver
bad in it.
dies.
Yeah, she's not bad in Age of Ultron. She's just it was missing some key things about her character that they have
And it's the
since
only one
brought
she does
back
the
in.
accent, and she just stops doing the accent ever since.
Yeah.
And they quickly explain it and what and like the Winter Soldier or I in Civil War, and they're like Black Widow taught her how to blend in and whatever. But
Yeah. They
I
do
think Age of
introduce they
Ultron,
introduce Ulysses Claw with Andy Serkis in this movie.
Andy Serkis is good. Um, they briefly mention Wakanda. It kind of expands the universe. Ultron's fun. I think the final battle kind of gets lost, but it's fun. The whole Hulk, Bruce Banner, Black Widow relationship goes nowhere. It's just there to have a relationship.
Yeah. But
I think the
they do
quips
have a cool
between
Hulk loses his mind. It goes on a rampage scene, which I love.
yeah, you get the Hulkbuster versus Hulk, and I
The
think Tony and Ultron have really great,
yeah. Well, I
back and
think
forth.
I mean I may be biased because I feel strongly that they they misused Ultron. Like he should have been a multi-movie villain.
Yeah,
Um, but also just quality wise, I like it, but it can't be above Ant-Man. It's just
it's a
mid
C
B
tier.
or mid C tier, yeah.
I would keep it in C tier because
Yeah, I just misspoke
there's
there. Yeah.
there's movies in here that are substantially better, but I wouldn't quite put them in A or S.
Yeah,
So
like it just can't like thinking about it, I'm like, we put Ant-Man in C tier and Ant-Man is a
I
better
mean,
movie. I think.
Until this last phase, the MCU has generally been pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's a high standard here for the most part.
Yeah,
This
this is
last
the
phase
fun
has
of
been
a
a
tier
bit.
list is we have to put stuff in C tier even though they're good movies.
This last phase has been pretty wacky though, like
Yeah,
all over the
we'll
place
have a lot to say
within
about that
quality.
though when we get there.
It has like phase 4 has extreme highs and extreme lows. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild. Anyways, moving over to the big one, Avengers Endgame.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. S tier. Um, now
It's
I will grant I've met people who would place this maybe at an A tier instead of an S tier because
have they seen like all the movies? Are they big fans of the
yeah,
Marvel
because
universe?
they're like this relies so much on you being a fan.
I mean, I
You
could take
know,
it down.
the time travel stuff is a little wacky, but God, like I don't think there's a bigger hype moment for me personally in the theaters than Captain America picking up Mjolnir.
Yeah, the build up. I mean,
Like,
this has been 10 years of build up
yeah,
since the beginning of the MCU. And it just, the ultimate culmination, I think it just does an excellent job putting a cap on this story.
yeah.
No pun intended.
Like,
But
like if this was the final MCU film, I would have been happy with it.
I would be
would have been like,
satisfied.
this was a
I'd
good
be,
ending. I mean, like the final battle. I don't watch it all the time, but I rewatch it every 6 months or so, at most, maybe once a year. Sometime in between 6 months and a year, and
right.
when Captain America, when the portals start opening and all the characters come through, and
I was about to talk about that.
Goes, Avengers.
You can't help.
Assemble. I know that's cheesy as hell. Like that's Joss Whedon-esque
But
writing.
it's earned.
But it is earned.
It's earned.
Yeah, it's
good.
earned. And I always
Alan
feel
Silvestri,
like that swell of like, yeah, type of when I see that scene, even rewatching it on Disney Plus.
Alan Silvestri's score is just fantastic here.
Yeah.
How it calls back to different movies, but in a way that it's not just pure fan servicey. It's fun. It has emotional weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
The death of Tony Stark.
Oh yeah.
The I
I
mean,
think I
Thanos. This version of Thanos that comes back in this just wants to destroy the whole universe. But you really feel the stakes here because it's before they got into the multiverse stuff, and where it's like this is final. There's finality here, and it mostly focuses on the core original Avengers.
mm-hmm. I love Bro.
But it's got also really fun, Marvel's been really good at doing fun, unexpected like duos and like pairings, like with Rocket and Thor and like Fat Thor. Like that's
Fat
fun
Thor
stuff.
is great. I love Bro Thor. And
yeah,
you
Bro
said
Thor.
like
That's
focuses on the original Avengers, and there's characters like Hawkeye is really good in this.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
Gets really good moments in here, and it doesn't feel this movie takes its time. Also, it slows down quite a lot. It's one of the slowest.
It had Infinity War before it, and then the rest of the MCU to build everything up. So it kind of not only did it earn those fan service moments, but it also earned it doesn't have to rush anything, because it's assuming you've seen everything. So it doesn't have to explain everything to you. It can kind of just let it happen.
I think if we were going to judge this within the context of the MCU, it'd be an easy S tier.
I'm inclined to put it at S tier, but we should be willing to put other movies above it in the S tier.
But I think within the context of if you just wanted to see a superhero movie and you haven't been following all this, might not even be an A tier. I mean, it's really one of the things. It's like you have to know to understand this and to care about it and to give into it and to let it, to suspend your disbelief and to.
There's a few movies on this list that are going to be like that, where it's
it relies so heavily.
Yeah. So what do you think? A low S tier or a high A tier? Because I think that's kind of where we're hovering right now. Because I think in our hearts,
pretty much any of the Avengers movies are gonna feel this way, except for the first one, where it relies.
Yeah, I think in our hearts we want it to be an S tier, but thinking critically, it might be.
But also thinking critically, aside from the fact that if you didn't watch these movies before, you want to understand anything, it's just done so well. I mean, the action sequences are great. The score is great. I love the character moments, the dialogue. Like they really spend a lot of time with dialogue in this, and just good emotional character moments where it's not just all action and lasers.
Oh, the scene where Tony interacts with his dad is one of my favorite favorite scenes. Like it's so good.
I'm gonna stick an S, and we can change our minds later, and it can be a lower S because it obviously relies pretty much on the rest of these movies here. So
I think that's my one criticism of it is I will grant that other people say that, and they're not wrong.
But is that a legitimate criticism though?
Well,
I think you go into this knowing
it can be.
I mean, why would you watch this if you've never watched any other Avengers movie?
That's
the question I'm asking.
That's pretty much like the counterpoint is like people say, well, it relies on you seeing all the other movies. It's like, well, why would you be watching this if you haven't seen the other movies?
That's like watching Return of the King without reading any of the Lord of the Rings books, not without watching any of the movies. It's like, let's just go straight to the finale. Does that make Return of the King any weaker of a film?
No.
So it's at S. Next, we have Infinity War, which I might like slightly more than Endgame. I don't know, maybe. But it is so action heavy.
This is a tough one. I
And it is
So
less exposition-y. Like it just kind of
yeah,
throws this all at you.
my opinion of Infinity War has gone down over the years.
Oh, has it?
Well, it's still at least an A tier,
Definitely an
but
A.
but I don't know. I mean, I don't think
Guardians have more of a role in that. Well, I guess Nebula and Rocket are an Endgame, but like the mainline Guardians have more of a role in this, and that's always fun
I do
when you
like
get the
that.
Guardians.
I think the battle in Wakanda at the end is not earned. I think
That's not as earned. I think
it
the
kind of just
Titan battle,
happens.
the battle between Thanos, Doctor Strange, and Stark,
Mm-hmm.
some
I
of the
think
greatest MCU
I
moments.
think that's the
When
highlight of the movie.
when Thanos when he says Stark, I know
Yeah.
you.
I think and also but I mean that's the highlight, but also like the beginning of the movie feels a lot like, oh, you haven't seen some of these characters since Civil War. So let's catch you up on where they're at right now.
It does have a lot of characters. It
And
does.
I
It's
don't
definitely
like
not
that.
as. It's not as focused as Endgame.
Like it jumps
Endgame's,
around. I wouldn't say Endgame doesn't jump around because it does,
but
but like
Endgame's for 90% of Endgame is focused on the core original Avengers, and
yeah.
then a couple Guardians of Galaxy.
Endgame
And that's
reads
it.
Endgame reads like you have these core characters who at the beginning of the movie are already together. Jump 5 years, same characters, but they have to put together a team. They have to get a plan together. This doesn't
Yeah.
do that. This is like, oh, there's storyline A and storyline B,
Well, you have
and
these
they're
subplots from
completely
different
separate.
movies. You have the events of Civil War that bleed into this. You have
Mm-hmm.
the events of Guardians the Galaxy that bleed into this, and I think maybe this is even more reliant on watching the MCU
I was
because
about
it
to,
just throws so much at
yeah,
you, and it's you really have to buy into it, and you have to really understand like what these characters have done and where they've been. Like with Endgame, yeah, you see it's story wise, Endgame's pretty straightforward until it gets into
yeah,
time travel stuff. But it's like you have a band of heroes that need to get together to stop the bad guy. Infinity War, you have a bunch of heroes that have disbanded. They have all this past history and beef with each other, and here's the bad guy.
yeah,
There's a lot more. There's a lot more to it, and I
yeah,
don't think that detracts from it. Like if you are a huge fan of this, Infinity War is still great. I love the action sequences. I think this has generally better aside from the final battle in Endgame, I think this has generally better like fight sequences. Um, I mean, the fight between Iron Man and Thanos is a big standout. The Doctor
yeah.
Strange and Thanos fight,
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
just if you're into just visuals, that's just amazing. All the
yeah.
magic and stuff.
No, there's a lot of
Where
good
Doctor
moments, and
Strange
there's a lot of really good
turns the
moments
black
in
hole into
this.
butterflies, and
I like the dynamic of this movie of it's like if where like Thanos is kind of the main character.
yeah, Thanos is the main character,
I think that's a really
and I
interesting
like that
approach.
they lose. Like when
Yeah,
I first watched this, I really didn't think they had the balls to have our heroes like definitively lose.
yeah.
For Thanos to be the victor, Thanos to be the central character.
I kind of feel
Um,
like just
so I do
the way they
that
approach
does
the
give it
plot
points.
in this, where like if you were only a casual viewer of the MCU, you would be more confused with this movie than you would with
It's
Endgame.
yeah, it's even more confusing. It jumbles a lot of characters
Yeah,
in
it's because this movie is basic. I mean, I don't want to dock it too much for that because this movie is basically doing all of the work so that Endgame doesn't have to do that.
No, that's true. It did heavy lifting,
Like so,
like
like
galore
you know,
stuff.
this is an event. It's an Avengers movie. It has to catch you up on all the characters and all that sort of stuff, and it's a bit and what the
But
stakes are. And Endgame
also,
has to spend less time catching up on the characters because this movie did all of that.
it's not just it's a Thanos centric movie, but also Gamora plays a
Oh yeah,
huge part in this.
yeah,
Actually, Gamora and Nebula play a huge part in both Infinity War and Endgame. They're
Yeah.
critical to the story, the daughters of Thanos, and I think it benefits from that if you're a huge Guardians fan. But if you haven't seen Guardians, then but we can't judge it based on that anymore. I
Yeah.
think we've discussed that
I'm
enough, like
I'm
whether have you seen them or
inclined to
not.
put it as a high
But
A
I think it's an
tier.
A. It's
Yeah.
an A,
Like
just
I
because
love this movie. It's
it's
just yeah,
it doesn't Endgame takes the time to slow down and to
yeah.
just let you have these character moments and more drama, while Infinity War is just action
Yeah.
sequence, exposition, quick
It's
explanation.
fast.
Oh,
It
this is where
jumps
these
between
characters are. It's
characters very
jumping around a lot.
quickly.
Still quite good though. I still
like this movie. It's great. It's
well, it's A tier.
super
Like
rewatchable. It's just, I mean, and like I said, I think all the stuff that like Endgame does well that it could have messed up on. It didn't. This movie did all of the exposition work and
yeah,
the
explaining the Infinity
catching you up on the
Stones and
characters and all this sort of stuff, so that Endgame didn't have to.
right.
And Endgame is a better movie for it. So I don't want to dock it too much, but definitely a high A tier. I mean, I still love this movie. The Doctor Strange
It's
shit is so good.
it's great stuff. And Wong. Next, we have the original Avengers. This is the movie that proved that you could have that the MCU would work.
Yeah.
That you could have these different franchises and then put them together. And the Avengers, I haven't seen the original in quite a while, but I've seen it a lot.
It's been a few months since I've
when I was
watched
a kid, I mean, this just blew my mind.
I remember
The
going to see
original
this in
Avengers.
theaters with my friend.
Yeah.
We were stoked. Like it was.
Me and my friend saw it the Sunday of its opening weekend, and there was still a huge line. And
Yeah,
like
we
still,
we saw it
people
opening
freaking
weekend.
out.
It was sold out. It was we got crammed into the side of the theater behind some big family that was watching it.
But yeah, the Avengers is a classic at this point, and it's no, and it after everything we've experienced with the MCU now, though, it does feel quite small. But that doesn't detract from it.
No. If anything, if it was bigger, it would have kind of probably overstepped what it could have done.
Right. I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki.
Oh yeah.
This is one of his best.
I think
Loki.
he's probably the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah. Because you have to have a captivating villain.
We talked about Joss Whedon with Age of Ultron, and just how Joss Whedon it is, and this movie kind of falls into that category.
But he has restraints.
But he's a little bit more restrained in it, and it kind of just works because by the time we got to Age of Ultron, the MCU had started to explore some more serious themes. But at this point, it was still just superhero movies. So it worked.
Well,
like
Iron Man. Well, we'll talk about like Iron Man and Incredible Hulk when we get there. But I think the Avengers just worked because it was right off the back of the Captain America First Avenger, which we'll get to, which was definitely more just classic superhero adventure romp.
I like that movie. Yeah,
kind of Indiana Jones style, and then you have the Avengers, and obviously, you only have the 6 core members: Iron Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, or is it 6 or 7? I forget. Nick Fury, Thor, but and yeah, you have their first interactions. The fight between Iron Man and Thor is still fun. The argument with Tony and Cap is good, and it kind of is like a hint. It's like Civil War, I think the original Avengers, is still an A. I don't think there's much else that needs to be said about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say maybe a low.
I think the final New York battle
That's a
Still great stuff.
great
You
sequence.
know, when one of the best images or sequences in the MCU is when Bruce Banner tells Cap, "I'm always angry," and
Yeah,
he one punches the big
I
serpent
love
thing.
that. I mean, and this movie has a lot of really good one-liners. Like when Captain America's he saves the
Oh,
guy
it's
from
one liner
Loki. He
after
saves the
another.
guy from Loki, and he's like, "Last time I was in Germany, there was a guy trying to stand over everyone, and we didn't get along." And you're just sitting
No,
in the
it
theater like,
definitely.
"Hey, he's referencing Hitler." Like,
Well, and you have the
you go,
memes
Captain
where Cap
America.
says, "Oh, I get that reference," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Doth mother
I
wear
mean,
thy
we've
drapes?
kind of talked about it outside the podcast before of how it's a miracle that this movie worked at all.
Oh, absolute
Because
miracle.
I mean, you
This
do
should
watch
have.
it, you watch it now, and you're just like, by the standards of like superhero movies we have now, this thing is cheesy as all hell.
It's very cheesy,
But it
but it's
works.
somehow
It just
it. I think the cheesiness is kind of what makes it timeless in a way.
it's charming at this point.
Yeah,
Like
it's fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Loki's just a fun goof of a villain,
yeah.
you know.
I think outside of the more recent Thor movies, this is the silliest Thor that we have. Like he's a lot
Before we
sillier.
get to like Ragnarok and
Yeah.
Love and Thunder, yeah, he
But like
Thor gets more comedy bits here.
yeah, like he's like you get to see more of the he doesn't understand what like Earth
And I
and
mean,
stuff like that, which is
this is the
fun.
first time we properly see Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury,
Yeah.
aside from the cameos,
Yeah.
and
And
he's
it's
great.
awesome.
And
He's great in it. Like
it's great in Secret Invasion, which has
yeah.
just came out, which is crazy. And Maria Hill, the chick from How I Met Your Mother, what's her name?
I don't remember the actress's name.
But great. Um, I think the Avengers. Would you put it on par with Infinity War?
I'm inclined to maybe put it as a high B tier, but like we could be willing to bump it up
I think
if
B is safe right
it
now.
depends
I
on how
think
all these other movies pan out here.
because if you just look from an objective viewpoint, it's still no Infinity War.
Yeah, no.
Definitely no
But
Endgame.
it's charming and
But
I've watched it
it's fun. It's
fairly
hokey.
recently and it's a fun movie.
But it does feel very like 2012 when you watch it.
Yeah.
So maybe it hasn't aged as well as I said it has. I
Maybe
don't know.
maybe B tier for now. We'll see.
Let's leave it at B tier. All right, Black Panther. I think that's at least a solid A. At least
I think that's an
the
A tier.
original.
I don't think it's above an A tier.
Yeah, there's some kind of superficial reasons that keep it from being an S tier. One of them
CGI is really
is that
wonky.
the CGI is wonky, and the whole final act is wonky and
Yeah,
just rushed.
that's a theme with the Black Panther movies. We'll
That's
get to
kind of
what
a theme of some recent MC movies
we'll
in
get to
general.
Wakanda
Just the
Forever
final
and
acts are just
yeah.
whack. But yeah, I mean, Chadwick Boseman is legendary as T'Challa. He was perfect as
He's
T'Challa.
he's
And
perfect. Michael B. Jordan
rest in
is
peace.
one of my favorite MCU villains.
Oh, Killmonger was great until we
He's
get to
great.
the final act. Like I said,
Yeah.
then
You
it's
know,
just like,
they do the whole like he has a point, he's kind of a morally gray villain, and then he very quickly switches to I'm gonna invade the world and enslave everyone.
yep.
And
And
it's
you're like,
like,
okay, well, we got to treat our audience as
yeah,
stupid and tell him
it's
he is the bad guy, though.
yeah, it's kind of like an
um,
okay, well,
and then
you
also,
know, were you making a good point? And the like he's making a good point, and then the movie just had to switch on us, being like, but hold on,
he's
we
still
need to
got to be the bad
remind
guy.
you that he's the villain. He didn't have to go that extreme. I mean, but before that, it's almost a Shakespearean drama. It's so good. Like,
And I love the first act, like the action sequences in the beginning. I still prefer Black Panther's Civil War suit over his new one.
Mhm.
It's more. It feels real.
Yeah.
The new one's just CGI. Um, and I like it. Honestly, we can talk about that. And I've been watching the Nolan Batman movies again because we're gonna be talking about that at some
Yeah.
point
Yeah. I
coming up.
watched those last week. Yeah.
And I think I might prefer the Batman Begins to. I don't know. Just because it has more heft to it. I mean, they're both practical suits,
I'd
but
have to think about that. I'd have to
I don't
look at
know. They're
them.
both really good suits. Like the Dark Knight suit is
Yeah.
slick and he can turn his head. That's good.
But you're
Like, and
definitely
I was
right
watching the Dark
with
Knight where Bruce Wayne tells Morgan Freeman, Lucius Fox, he's like, I need a new suit, and he gives him like schematics, and he's like, oh, so you want to turn your head?
yeah.
um,
I
if
think
the
you're
Black Panther
yeah.
suit felt more tactile and practical, I think I I think the design of the new one's good. It just doesn't
Yeah.
look right. But
But there's other parts of this movie
I still prefer the
dude, the
helmet. I prefer the
casino
helmet.
theme thing, and when they go to South Korea to that casino in the beginning of the movie, like that's like James Bond shit.
Yeah, that's
Like
fun.
that's such a good sequence.
But yeah, the
I
last
like the
act,
drama with like the royal family and stuff. It's very
hmm
Shakespearean. There's
very
so much
yeah.
cool stuff in it. But yeah, the last
I
act
love the
kind of falls apart a
designs
little
of
bit.
of Wakanda, their costumes, the art. That's
Yeah.
great. The music here is great. How it embraces
Mhm.
uh
But yeah, the
African
last act
culture.
kind of falls apart a little bit.
But
Not so much that I would just detract from it a lot because it's still easy to follow, and
the
it
last act
works.
does drag this down.
You
If
can
this
kind of
movie had a
watch it and be
better
like, it's a superhero movie and kind of forgive it a little bit and turn your brain off.
if this movie had a better third act, it could be S tier, but
Yeah.
that drags it down. Not just from the CGI, but it's just rushed. It's
It's
like, oh
rushed
yeah, we got to
and yeah.
remind everybody that Killmonger is definitively a bad guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, A tier. Solid A tier. Next, oh, this is an interesting one. I've only seen
We
it
should be a
once.
little bit faster because
Um,
we need to get through these movies. We have an hour left.
still have quite a lot. All right. I've only seen this once. Black Widow.
I've not seen it at all.
C. Mid.
I'm gonna trust you on that.
Well, it's
I'll
they
just
took a
say
swing and miss.
I'll just
It
say I
released
haven't
during
seen it
COVID. It
because
went
it
straight to
looks
streaming. There was a huge controversy with not Natalie, Scarlett Johansson and Disney
oh
on
yeah.
how she signed a contract for it to be released in theaters, but then they went to streaming because of COVID. And
Yeah.
uh, but honestly, what I watched looked like a straight to Netflix movie. So maybe it's not quite mid tier. It
I
didn't feel like a theatrical movie.
behind with in the combination of like the marketing really just it didn't sound like an interesting movie to me.
It's fun. It's
I
got
watch
cool
a
spy
lot of
stuff.
Corridor Crew, their VFX artist reacts, and they've talked about this movie, and
The
the
VFX is
VFX
weak.
are kind of weak in it. Just all
Very
this
weak.
stuff that I've seen around this movie
I would
made
put it at a
me
D tier.
very uninterested
It's
in it, and I haven't
it's
watched it
still
yet.
it's still fun enough. I like the spy stuff. There's good action sequences and martial arts choreography.
Yeah,
David Harbour's fun as Red Guardian, Russian. Um, but it's very much it's not so bad, but it's not good, and it's not. I still rather watch Age of Ultron or Ant-Man over this.
fair enough.
It,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's just kind of a nothing MCU movie,
yeah.
which is
And
unfortunate.
it
It
takes
should have been
place
better.
it takes place
It's weird.
earlier in
Like
the
it's the first.
timeline than when
Yeah,
it came
it's the
out,
first
which is
time.
weird.
It's the first MCU movie, I guess, aside from the first Captain America, that doesn't take place like within basically every MCU movie aside from Captain America, Captain Marvel, and I think just those two. Every MCU movie basically takes place the year it was released in real
Yeah.
time. And then this release, and it's like Civil War like interlude. And after Infinity War and knowing what happens to Black Widow, that she dies. Or no, she doesn't die in it. No, this came out after Endgame.
Yeah.
Knowing that she dies and just knowing everything, it just feels so inconsequential. It just feels like it should have been a TV series. A Black Widow TV series would have gone much better. So I know you haven't seen it. I could put it in the haven't seen it tier, but I could tell you that it's a D.
I'm going to trust you on that one. Yeah.
It's not terrible. You'll enjoy it watching it once. And Florence Pugh, I love her as the new Black Widow, whatever, and Yelena, whatever. She's great. She's in Hawkeye.
Yeah, she's good in that. Yeah,
she's good in that. She's a good actress. She's gonna be in the Oppenheimer movie.
Oh,
I think
nice.
she plays Oppenheimer's abnormally. Well, at the time it wasn't abnormal. Well, it's still not abnormal if you're rich, but his young wife.
Yeah.
I think her and Cillian Murphy are actually together in real life.
Oh. Huh.
Which, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to Civil War.
S tier.
Really liked it my first few watches. Still like it, but it's
I would put it in
not as rewatchable.
I think it's one of the better MCU movies. And my reasoning is because
I won't fight you too much on it.
So all of the stuff, the criticisms I had of Endgame, or not Endgame, Infinity War, were how it feels very fast paced and disconnected because it's trying to catch you up on everything. This movie has to do all that shit too, but it does a much better job and it feels a lot more focused.
One that still has less characters, a jumble.
Yeah.
Russo brothers are way better with more grounded type of stuff like this.
My one criticism, and I mean maybe this could make it a high A tier instead, is that the Civil War plotline should have been more than one movie.
Oh yeah.
That's my one. My one.
And it's really nothing like the comics aside from Tony and Cap having their little fight.
Yeah.
But the finale, I mean, this is one of the best final acts of any MCU movie.
Yeah.
Just the hurt you feel when Tony finds out Bucky killed his parents, and Cap tries to, explain it to him real quick. Oh, he was brainwashed and everything. And Tony's like, I don't care. He killed my mom. And they have a straight up fight, and Tony is intent on murdering the Winter Soldier.
Dude, when I was watching this in theaters, I for a split second there was like, holy shit, is Captain America gonna kill Iron Man?
No, he wouldn't. But would have Iron Man killed Captain America? Maybe. You think that here?
I was watching this in theaters. I was like, oh, someone's gonna walk out of this.
I think honestly,
gonna walk out of this.
There was the whole Team Cap and Team Iron Man thing. They were trying to do the Team Edward and Team Jacob thing, but
we had a whiteboard at my work.
Honestly, watching
when this movie was coming out, where people wrote their names on Team Cap or Team Iron Man.
Oh, my teacher, my high school history teacher, used this as a debate in our class.
Yeah,
debating the Superhero Registration Act, and I was on Captain America's side. I came in my Captain America hoodie.
Nice.
And said that they shouldn't pass the Superhero Registration Act. It's unconstitutional and whatever. So yeah, you have the political parts of it. It's definitely politically heavy, on government interference and on that kind of thing. But within the context of the MCU, by the time you get to the final act, when they kind of actually team up again to stop Zemo, but then Zemo reveals the truth about Bucky, about the Winter Soldier killing Tony Stark's parents, which is such a huge. That's literally like the Spider-Man 3. Oh, Sandman actually killed Uncle Ben, but this works so much better.
Yeah,
because
it works.
We really. There was never any details about the deaths of Tony's parents.
It's not like a retcon. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like
because
a revelation.
It's just briefly in the first Iron Man movie they died in a car wreck. But now you see it was the Winter Soldier, and you're so excited. Oh, you expect them to get together and fight the bad guy at the end, just like Batman v Superman, where they
Yeah.
fight for a bit, then they're mates.
And then
But
the moral grayness. I mean, yeah, you're right there. Where it's like they're not mates at the end. They walk away from this still. They still want to kill each other. And
well, at least Tony does.
Yeah, and the moral grayness here of like Bucky, like he did it.
Well,
but
Tony was intent on killing Bucky, but he wasn't intent on killing
still
Cap.
like the moral grayness of like Bucky, like he did it, but he wasn't himself.
Yeah, he was mind controlled.
So it's like,
and when that moment when Cap's fighting him hand to hand, and his computer Friday's like, you can't beat him hand to hand, and he's like analyzes combat techniques and whatever. Okay, kick his ass, and he just beats the shit out of Captain America. But and then when he blasts Bucky's arm off, yeah, it's just such a like, it's not an epic finale. It's like it hurts. Like it hurts to see who used to be like comrades in arms go at each other like this.
Yeah.
And I think Civil War would be an S tier.
I have to also I honestly do. The actor that they cast for Baron Zemo, I don't think they could have done a better job casting him. I had seen him in a few other movies before.
The comic book Zemo.
It's not comic book, but like for the MCU, for like what they were doing with the character, I don't think they could have done a better job casting. I had seen that actor in a few other movies, and he's fantastic actor, and
But anyways,
he might be one of my favorite
Daniel
MCU
Bruhl,
villains. Right? I think so.
Well, he's one of my favorite villains because he doesn't have powers. He just gets the heroes that fight each other.
Yeah. And he comes back in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he's very
and then he gets the mask. Yeah. And he does the dance.
But he's
Civil War, yeah. Easy S tier, actually.
Also, and we touched on it when we were talking about Black Panther, but Black Panther's introduction here is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And Spider-Man.
Great introduction. And Spider-Man should introduce in this Spider-Man
too.
Our first look at Tom Holland. And he's great in it. When he catches Winter Soldier's arm, and he's like, "Whoa, is that a metal arm? That's so cool!" Like how casually strong he is.
Yeah, and what is it? Falcon? Is it Falcon that says like, "I don't know if you've ever been in a fight.
You talk
before,
too much.
You usually don't talk this much." And he's like, "Oh shit, my bad, guys."
Yeah, and when he gets clotheslined by Cap Shield,
I'd say S tier. At the very least, low S tier. It could be adjusted.
But let's try to move faster. Captain America: The First Avenger, B.
I'd agree with that.
I actually, it's one of my. I've watched it a lot more recently, and I actually, it's not like Winter Soldier level, but just for a fun superhero adventure romp.
I think it's one of the better first wave movies.
You get the whole period piece aspect. Seeing Captain America just fight straight up Nazis is fun.
I love seeing
World War II stuff.
I love seeing an action hero punch Nazis. I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, it's very Indiana Jones in the way it's it's got that
Hugo
vibe
Weaving
and
is great.
Oh, he's great as Red Skull.
And it's a bummer that they didn't get him back for
they just got a really good impersonator
War.
Or something.
Yeah, but you don't really notice too much, but it's still a bummer that
I thought it was Hugo Weaving my first watch.
You really don't notice, but it's still a bummer knowing that he didn't actually come back for that.
Well, I know ever since The Matrix, he doesn't like reprising in blockbuster movies.
Understandable, I guess.
He kind of got wore out by it. Well, by Lord of the Rings and The Matrix, he swore off like blockbuster franchises.
Yeah.
So he just agreed to do this one-off. Haley Atwell's great. Peggy Carter.
Mm-hmm. Good movie.
And
Tommy Lee Jones.
Chris Evans.
You get to see Tommy Lee Jones be a grumpy Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah,
and that's always fun.
And yeah, Sebastian Stan was perfect casting as a more grittier Bucky, and Chris Evans was at the time a surprising yet the perfect casting as Captain America.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
I couldn't ask for better casting. I just remember Chris Evans was always associated with like the douchebag roles.
I think his biggest
until this
movies
point.
before this was Fantastic Torch or Human Torch. The Fantastic Torch.
And he's been in like a lot of teenage.
He was in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and he was a douchebag in that.
He's just always a douchebag.
He was in some teenage movie or whatever it's called. Human Torch was a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Push.
Yeah. He's like, before this, he was like, at best, a douche that secretly has a heart of gold, but still a douche.
And this, it was just like heart of gold.
Yeah. So they stripped away the douchiness from him. Yeah.
Next, we have Winter Soldier. I'm just going to do it, make it easy for us. S tier.
It's one of the best.
In
MCU
fact,
movies. I place it above
Civil War.
I put it above Civil War.
I think this one works so well because you could literally just watch this as a cool, like, political action spy thriller.
Yeah.
With not much knowledge on the MCU and enjoy this. All you have to know is that secret evil Nazis have infiltrated the government and Captain America has to stop it.
Yeah, if you have a vague knowledge of who Captain America is and who the Avengers are, that's all you need.
They're
to
trying
know.
to they're trying to replicate this whole vibe in Secret Invasion.
Nice.
The Winter Soldier vibe.
I've not watched any of that yet. I'm kind of wait until it's all done.
Yeah, at this point, I would just wait till it's done and just binge it, you know.
That's a good way to watch the MCU shows.
You get Samuel L. Jackson back as Nick Fury. He plays a bigger part in this. Scarlett Johansson is a better Black Widow in this than she is in her own solo movie.
This is her best movie.
Yeah. And Chris Evans' Cap, you get right there. You get the cool stealth suit, the Commander Rogers suit, and Winter Soldier he's one of the more threatening villains in this movie.
Yeah.
And then he quickly gets neutered, but
yeah.
But when Spider-Man shows up and everything, but like in this, like he felt like a huge threat. This cyber assassin.
Yeah.
And it just felt smart without being pretentious. It's just a cool action spy thriller.
Yeah, the Russo brothers coming fresh off of directing Community.
Right? Isn't that crazy? Then you have Captain Marvel.
Oh,
I've only seen it twice.
I'm a little bit torn on this one. I want to say
I haven't had a need to watch it again.
I've seen it
and
that
tells
times.
You what you need to know.
I've seen it a few times. I'm inclined to put it in D tier. That feels low because it's okay. It's fun.
It's better in Black Widow. It's better in Black Widow.
Just knowing what other movies are coming on this list, I don't feel we can put it better than D tier.
Fair.
Like I like Brie Larson,
but better in Black Widow.
I like Brie Larson a lot more in this than in the other movies she's in so far.
Yeah, and it's
like this was a promising start, and I still think they could bring her back. Like the Marvels, I think has potential to be really good.
It also has the issue of it's set in space, but then also mostly on Earth. But it doesn't have like the fun that Guardians of the Galaxy has with MCU cosmic.
Yeah. Jude Law is fun.
But he's also just a bland villain. I can't remember his name. Yeah. I don't know what his whole deal was. It's cool seeing what's his Ronan the Accuser reprise his role. What's his name? He was in The Hobbit as well.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
Lee Pace. Pace.
You get Phil,
but
Coulson
he was briefly
back.
in it. I wanted to see Ronan the Accuser fight Captain Marvel. Maybe
that would have been.
That's kind of what I was expecting because he's a very powerful character in the comics, and
he's barely.
So that felt lame.
You get.
I thought
Coulson.
He was going to be the secret. Phil Coulson's back.
That was
in
fun.
The 90s.
I don't know. I just think it's
very on the nose with the 90s stuff, though. She crashes in a blockbuster.
Yeah, it's
playing grunge music.
It's an okay movie that I thought set up a good base for the character.
Gareth Edwards.
In recent years, I've seen a lot of people on and these are all toxic fanboys on Reddit and shit like that really shit on Brie Larson. Like it's like she's the
Right.
problem with the character. And if you
No.
go if you watch this movie and then in the same day go watch, Infinity War and Endgame, she's not the problem with the character. Brie Larson is great. They
It'll
just
be interesting to see the Marvels. I think that'll be a
yeah.
fun dynamic with
My
her and
understanding is when
Ms.
they
Marvel
made
and Photon.
Infinity War and Endgame is that the directors and writers didn't really know what Marvel was even doing with Captain Marvel, so they
Right.
didn't know how to write her.
Yeah, because this came out after they wrote it.
Yeah, so they didn't
So
know what to do with her. In
that's
Endgame,
why she
they
felt
didn't.
so weird in Endgame.
Yeah, so I'm still very hopeful that in the Marvels that she's gonna be good.
Looks like
Because
she's gonna get to have more fun in that
yeah,
one. So we'll see. Next we have Doctor Strange. Introduces proper magic into the MCU. Benedict Cumberbatch is great as Doctor Strange. It's a very origin story, but
yeah, has all the problems that origin stories
it's
always have. But Mads Mikkelsen is fun, but he's also
oh
very
yeah, he's
forgettable.
fun. Or what's her name? Lion Witch and Wardrobe.
Oh, Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton is
Is that her
good. I
name?
like her as the ancient one.
I think it'd be A tier, but below Black Panther though.
I think it's definitely A tier though. Well,
I could bump it down to
actually,
D
I
tier
would
or
put
to
it
B
on par
tier.
with Avengers and Captain America. I think the
Okay,
magic stuff's fun, but it still doesn't go like I love the final act in this one actually.
it's
I
good.
think it's a
Yeah,
maybe a better final act than any of those
I
than
agree with
Avengers
that.
are
Yeah,
first Avenger because he beats Dormammu just by tiring him,
yeah. He
putting him in the
he
time
he
loop
basically just
of
thinks his way out of the problem,
yeah, putting
which is
Dormammu
cool.
in the time loop, and we don't really know how long he's in the time loop.
Well,
And
it
the
highlights.
explanation is he becomes Sorcerer Supreme and he's so powerful by Infinity War in such a short frame of time because during the time loop with Dormammu, that could have been like 1,000 years.
Yeah, well, it
Who
highlights a
knows?
cool thing about Doctor Strange is he's not just super powerful at magic. He's also a freaking genius and he's patient.
But he's also a dick.
He's a dick. Yeah. So he's like he comes up with a solution. He's like, I'll put you in a time loop because fuck you. And I can wait this out.
And he's just he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the cool thing about like Doctor Strange and like magic and MCU, you can just be a normal person. And if you dedicate enough time and if you're a good learner and everything, you can learn magic. But like he's physically still human doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that's a fun aspect.
Well, I
Um let's speed through these though.
uh,
On the major ones we'll talk about, but Eternals, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
What
either.
do you think of it? All right, haven't seen it. Good.
My sister likes it a
mean,
lot. But
I know it has Jon Snow in it.
it does. But apparently he
Barely.
plays such a small role that when I mentioned to my sister about Jon Snow, and she is a big Game of Thrones fan. Keep that in mind. She was like, "Wait, what?"
Wait, your younger sister or older?
My older sister.
Okay, I was like, yeah, because Game of Thrones.
She's a big Game of Thrones
R-rated.
fan, and she told me about Eternals when she saw it recently. She hadn't seen it for a while, so she saw it recently, and she was like, "It's great." And I'm like, "How's Jon Snow in it?" And she's like, "What?"
Honestly, I really was. I don't know. It just looked very boring to me. Just like
boring.
they're standing around on the field, and it tries to be philosophical, but it's.
The highlight of the marketing is
I mean, it's Celestials and stuff, but
Kumail
I don't know.
Nanjiani got really fucking jacked for it.
He did get jacked for it. I
Um,
still need to see it. I have to see it right, but I really don't care to see it.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we didn't have the haven't seen it yet, that would be F tier. But I don't think it's fair to rank something F just because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But being me, that's like the Marvel guy and that's seen all these movies and then I still haven't seen the Eternals. That tells you a lot. Anyways,
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Do we still want to do
Uh,
shows or do you want to skip over them?
I guess we can throw them in because they're here.
They're here. Okay, Falcon Winter Soldier. For me,
Mm,
as far as MCU shows go, it's
it's
a
somewhere
B.
that's higher than I would have put it. I would put it in C tier.
Okay, it's a C. It's a C.
Because I mean, I liked it. I thought it was quite good.
It's a little heavy-handed with the
it's
social
just in
commentary.
hindsight, yeah, I don't really want to rewatch it.
No, I have no inclination to rewatch. In fact, the only Marvel shows I've rewatched is like Daredevil and stuff, but that's technically well, it's kind of MCU.
My willingness to
it's not really.
rewatch a show, especially if it's a one-off season like that, like a
Right.
miniseries, my willingness to rewatch a TV show is a pretty good indication on how much I liked it.
Right.
Versus
But then
a movie
again, I don't
where
really
a movie I'm willing to sit through for a couple hours, even if I didn't like it, just because fuck it, why not? It's on TV.
Right. But yeah, it's a little heavy-handed with the social commentary. I still think it's good. The villain's bad. The whole final act of the show is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I like the back and forth between
politicians, do better.
Do better, politicians. I like that he gets a comic accurate Sam Wilson cap suit.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan here. I think off-brand Captain America was fun. Kurt Russell's son.
I like that they brought back Zemo and he's just really fucking chaotic in every scene.
Oh yeah, and you get the whole dancing meme. So yeah, it's all right. Guardians of the Galaxy.
The first one.
Past me would have put this S tier, but I think now
A tier.
It's an A.
Yeah, I like that movie.
For me, I put it above Black Panther. I think it's more rewatchable. It's fun. In fact, I put it above Infinity War.
I'd agree. Yeah, I think it's fair.
It's fun. It's got good comedy. Great character acting. I mean, Dave Bautista, Drax, Zoe Saldana. I mean, you get Bradley Cooper voicing Rocket, which is crazy to
everyone forgets he's Rocket. About that.
And Chris Pratt is Star-Lord, the guy from Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got to the point where he's not even the guy from Parks and Rec anymore. Like most people are like, oh, he's
Star-Lord.
He's Star-Lord. Or
no,
he's the
when this came
guy.
out, he was the guy from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, the funny fat guy. And then Marvel got him ripped and he was still a lot of fun in Guardians. Lee Pace's Ronan was good. The soundtrack great. James Gunn just great. Just a lot of fun stuff. In fact, movie. Yeah. Guardians Galaxy Volume 2. Not as good. It doesn't have the same like breath of fresh air as the first one.
Yeah,
but it's still damn
freaking good. It's at least
still
a B
really
tier.
good.
Yeah. I love Kurt Russell. He's great in it.
I think it's a high B tier, like almost A, but I think just because it's a little cheesier and not in like a good way, but it still has really good character moments. You get the romantic tension between Gamora and Star-Lord more in this one. The tension between Star-Lord and Kurt Russell, his father, Ego, and then when he gets the revelation that Ego killed his mom.
Oh yeah, that's a great moment. I think
and Yondu's great. A lot of good father-son moments.
Yondu is so good in that. I think that this movie, I think its biggest flaw is that it's just not quite. If in a back-to-back watching, it's not quite as well paced as the first one.
Yeah, that final act kind of goes quick.
I mean, it's still pretty well paced, but not as.
But it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's fun to watch. The soundtrack's good. Good visual effects. So, solid B. Hawkeye. Definitely better than Falcon Winter Soldier for me.
I was really surprised by Hawkeye. I think I would put it either a high C or a low B tier. I thought it was actually really good. It's one of
I
my
would put it
favorite
low B.
shows.
Haley Steinfeld is great as Kate Bishop. Perfect casting. And Jeremy Renner, it's fun to see him back as Hawkeye and a
Mhm.
more fleshed out role this time. And
Yeah, he
the
gets his own
Christmas, I
story.
mean, it is a Christmas show. It's
It
more
is. Yeah.
seasonal, but I think that, if it didn't, I think the Christmas setting was such a smart choice, not just because it released around Christmas like that winter, but
Yeah.
it takes this more grounded like thriller, but then it throws a little pizzazz with the Christmas stuff, and you
Yeah.
get
And
Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin,
that's awesome.
even though he's a little bit sillier version, but he's a more comic accurate version, like without
Yeah.
strong like the super strength, and he can survive explosions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think
And
that's a
it's a
good middle
pretty
ground.
good adaptation of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
there's
it's
shots straight from that run in the show, like with the car and everything and
yeah, I was
dog and
pleasantly surprised by the show because I didn't expect much from it when I watched it.
right, because it's
But
Hawkeye.
yeah, this is
But yeah,
like
and thankfully Jeremy Renner survived his snowplow accident. I know that was a big
yeah.
scare, like
Yeah,
crush a
wow.
bunch of bones and bodies. Um, Next we get Iron Man 3, which C.
Yeah. Low C.
It's a low C, and the only reason it's not D is because it's still Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man,
Yeah. It really
which is
it's
still
just
great.
I think it's a really
But
good
it
example
feels
of of an MCU movie that really gives into the blockbuster standards.
it gives into that, and it's
Like,
also a big swing and a miss with the whole he
yeah.
doesn't have the Iron Man suit that much in it.
Yeah. I mean, that
And
is the best part of the movie,
but
I
it
think,
just doesn't
is
hit right. I don't
like
know.
like the part where he gets stranded and he has to like think his way out of it, and then when he's at like the compound and like the action sequence where he's like waiting for
No,
the
that's
suit
pretty
to come
good.
from him and it's coming little bits at a time.
Um,
I think that's the best part, but that's
Guy
kind of
Pearce is he's a forgettable villain where he's like,
yeah,
I'm the Mandarin bit, that cringy.
that was
Uh,
lame. That was really
it,
lame.
it, it but yeah, C tier. I mean, I'll watch it if it's on, but I won't watch it on my own accord.
I don't hate
Iron
it,
Man
but yeah.
2, Iron Man 2. Okay. While this might actually be technically worse than Iron Man 3, just from an objective standpoint, I like it more than
I
Iron
don't
Man
think
3.
it
It's
is
more
worse.
fun. I think Mickey Rourke is a fun, weird villain as Whiplash.
I don't think it is
give me my
worse
bird.
than like objectively worse. I don't think it. I Iron Man 3 gives into like all like it.
I think
just,
Iron Man 3 has a better plot. I with him with the PTSD after Avengers.
I think Iron Man 3 tried to have a more interesting plot, but it gives into all of the like this is the third in a trilogy of blockbuster movies. Like it gets
that is true.
Like it gets on its knees and sucks off Hollywood. Like and what
but I think I definitely do think
blockbuster trilogy is.
I definitely think Iron Man 2 is better though.
Yeah, Iron Man 2, like, yeah, it's
Would you put it past C tier though?
No, I wouldn't put it past C tier.
I want to put it past C tier, but a higher C tier. I would put it
maybe in between Age of Ultron and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I think that's a perfect spot actually.
Like
I like the final battle sequence with the drones and everything. Yeah, Whiplash is a fun, weird villain, so that's interesting at least. And you get drunk Tony Stark.
Yep.
And the introduction of Don Cheadle as War Machine, and the introduction of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow.
Yep.
And you get happy like Pervin on her when she's changed into her suit.
So sequel in the MCU.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
And then you get the original Iron Man.
S tier.
I've seen this. Yeah, it's easy
absolutely
S
tier. I've watched it recently. It's still just
whoops.
It's so good.
Okay, we kept our. That was a close one. I accidentally clicked on my Skyrim Nexus tab.
I saw that. Yeah,
but yeah, easy S tier. In fact, because it's literally the first movie of the MCU, still stands on its own, still is so good, has great action beats. The whole bit where he flies down in Afghanistan, just murders all the terrorists, commits war crimes, just great stuff.
And
I
dude,
love the soundtrack here.
The
I love
special
how
effects
real
even hold up.
the special effects hold up. You get more practical suits with the armor and everything.
Well, there's practical suits, but
Feels
like
real.
I don't know how they did it, but like the CGI even, like it's 2008, you can still tell.
Well, it's a lot
CGI.
easier to do like metal surfaces and stuff.
Like you can still tell it's CGI in those scenes because it's 2008.
That's why the first Transformers movie
like,
still holds up, because it's just robots.
Works though. Like they just shot it in a way where it just worked.
Jeff Bridges is the first MCU villain, set the standard. In fact, this whole movie, I have to put it in top S tier.
Yeah.
This literally set the entire template for the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, it was just such a huge shot at this that they took, casting Robert Downey Jr., who had been dealing with drug addiction and almost gone to prison, and giving him that chance. And Marvel was just an independent film studio at this point,
giving the reins to Jon Favreau, the guy who directed Elf.
Yeah, the guy that directed Elf,
which great movie, but
no, it's
not a superhero movie though.
And he gets Terrence Howard as War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually got paid more than Robert Downey Jr. in this one. And when he found out Robert Downey Jr. was going to be getting paid substantially more than him in the sequel, that's when he stepped out. That's when we get Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
And yeah, just Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. That's great, even though she's crazy, but she's great in this role. And yeah, Jeff Bridges, great when he yells at the guy about when he
yells at Ralphie.
Yeah, he yells at Ralphie. But yeah, solid S tier. I mean, the whole fact that they said in interviews, Jeff Bridges, like, they didn't even have a script, man. Yeah. And they improv so much of this. This base,
you've heard the story
like, humor
about how like the ending scene where Tony Stark reveals himself as Iron Man to the public, how that was improvised. And they kept that, and that set the tone for the entire MCU.
Yeah, where most of the heroes don't have secret identities. They don't get hung up on that, and they just, until Spider-Man, I mean, pretty much everybody knew who everybody was.
Yeah.
And like Thor is just Thor.
Yeah, you either don't have a secret identity, or you're like a super spy, or you're a god.
Yeah. Okay, next we have Loki, which out of the Disney Plus MCU shows, I still think stands as the best.
I agree.
Is it an S tier when you compare it to the movies?
No, I don't.
I think it's
an A tier.
It can only get up to an A tier.
Yeah.
Now, if like the Daredevil series was in here, then that would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I think Loki is an A tier. I think it was a great show. I liked Owen Wilson. Sylvie was good. I think it did a good job with the whole timeline hopping thing, and like it really dove into Loki's character.
It
Tom
took
Hiddleston
a concept in Marvel Comics that would have been so easy for them to completely fuck it up. Yeah, and they didn't. And they did it well. But since you got
Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and like the back and forth between him and Owen Wilson.
Oh, they're one of the best duos, I think, in the whole MCU. Like,
and then Jonathan Majors as Kang, which is kind of a controversial, unfortunate topic now because of the allegations. But he was a good He Who Remains version of Kang.
Yeah. He's good,
and he was the best part of Quantumania. But that's where I'm gonna leave it. But yeah, Loki definitely A tier. Shang-Chi.
I like Shang-Chi.
I think I've only seen it once, and that's not because I don't like it or anything.
I recommend you watch it again. I think it's
I should watch it again.
I think the third act.
The third act really drags it down.
Very
That's a
CGI
common
monster battle superhero shit.
gray, empty space.
Yeah. And
just
that is definitely a problem.
fighting in a quarry.
The rest of the movie, I think, is one of the most fun MCU movies. And I don't mean
and just
I don't mean like objectively
the choreography,
like a quality like cinematically like one of the best, but I just mean like pure fun factor. It's a fun movie.
Would you put it over Guardians Volume 2? That's what I'm asking.
No, not quite. But I would put it in B tier. Maybe down with the first Captain America.
I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, between Captain America and Hawkeye. I like it a lot, but the third act really drags it down.
It relies too heavy on the magic stuff and the CGI stuff.
If they had made the third act instead of the whole dragons thing, like
it was just a martial arts fight
between like a martial art battle between him and the Mandarin, that would have been a lot better.
Yeah, they should have stuck with their guns and made it just a pure kung fu flick.
Really good fight sequences and choreography. Really good acting. Good, some good kung fu.
Oh, and Simu Liu. I mean, I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
And Aquafina, she's fun. I mean, she's been a little bit overused in content lately, just as the funny character. But
yeah, I think studios need to give her a chance to do something different.
Else, yeah.
But yeah.
Then you have Spider-Man Far From Home. We've recently watched this. Our commentary's out. In comparison with the rest of the MCU, B. It's still a B.
High B.
Yeah, I would put it. I want to put it above Avengers, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I would put it right there,
right between Cap America and Avengers. I think that's fair. Yeah.
In fact, I personally would put it here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a higher spot than it got in our Spider-Man ranking. But we talked about that. The reason we put it so low in the Spider-Man ranking is as a Spider-Man movie, it misses the mark in a few spots because it's so MCU feeling. But as an MCU movie, it's pretty good, I think. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty good.
Definitely B tier.
Similar, Homecoming. But as a Spider-Man movie, it's better.
Yeah, great movie. I love it. One of my favorites. But I'm gonna try not to be biased. I'm gonna say maybe a high B tier as an MCU movie.
Was it above Guardians Volume 2? That's kind of our metric.
I would say not quite.
Not above.
It's with
What about Doctor Strange? Above it or like right with it?
That's a tough one.
That's the question.
I don't know. I think it's pretty equal with Doctor Strange, but
I'll just keep it right there.
Yeah. It's just I love that movie, but yeah, as if you were to watch the entire MCU, it would feel a little like out of place.
Yeah. Now we have the elephant in the room, No Way Home.
Yeah.
Which the ultimate culmination of all the Spider-Man movies, all the villains are back. Well, most of them. And you get Toby and Andrew, and it's multiverse heavy, but I think it does it well. And it fan service heavy, but I think it's earned.
I'd say A tier, but at the bottom of A tier. Maybe above Loki.
I would put it above Loki.
For the same reason, I would
personally put it above Black Panther just because I rewatch it more.
Yeah, but that's fair.
I think this is hard.
It's just for the same reason that like Homecoming is.
I wouldn't put it above Guardians of the Galaxy because Guardians of the Galaxy is so like original and fresh.
Yeah, it's I would just say for the same reason that Homecoming is where it's at is because in the context of the MCU, it feels a little out of place. The entire, I think, Marvel Spider-Man trilogy, except for Far From Home,
feels out of place.
feels like a standalone trilogy,
right? Which
isn't a bad thing for a trilogy, but in the context
but
of the
if you were gonna
MCU,
binge watch the entire MCU, it would feel a little wacky.
yeah, like
but it does have Doctor
like you're
Strange in
taking a
it, so
break
that
like you're taking a break from the MCU for a Spider-Man adventure type of thing.
right. Even though it is still pretty MCU forward with
Yeah,
Doctor Strange, but
I like it. I think above Loki, at least.
A tier. Let's just.
Yeah.
I mean, the order of within the tiers isn't too important. It's just the tier it's in that's important. It's A tier.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok. I
S tier.
like this one so much more even now. Like I
Yeah.
like it more now after Love and Thunder.
It's absolutely S tier. I think it's one of my favorites.
S tier. I think it's funnier than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
It's wacky. I love Chris Hemsworth in this. He gets to have a lot of fun. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, great stuff. The fight between him and the Hulk.
Yeah, you get some
Great stuff.
you get some
Kate Blanchett as Hela.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
You get Led Zeppelin in the soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
So I would put it.
I'd put it there with Winter Soldier. Kind of about
a little below Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because Winter Soldier is like real. It's like Dark Knight-esque.
Yeah.
Nolan-esque. So I would put it a little bit below Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But would you put it above Civil War? I mean.
Yeah. I would.
I watch it more. So
I would put it above Civil War. Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World.
Ooh, tough one. Definitely
it's
D
a
tier.
D. But
I think it goes below Cap Marvel.
Below Cap Marvel, definitely above Black Widow, though.
I don't hate
Thor the original.
Movie.
The first Thor.
C tier.
It's very small. Well, it's crazy because it's phase one. It's the first movie that introduced like gods and magic.
Yeah.
But it's so small.
It's
but it has its charm to it.
I've
watched
it recently. Yeah, it's got some heart and it's a fun little movie, but it's also it's fine. Like I would put it maybe right above Iron Man 2. So I think it's got similar quality, and it's got more heart to it.
It's got more heart. It's got its Shakespearean moments.
Yeah.
With Odin, played by Silence of the Lambs.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. Yes. Thank you.
He played.
It's funny. Some names I remember, and then other ones I'm like, what?
Richard the Lionheart in Lion in Winter.
Oh yeah. And Idris Elba introduced as I mean, this movie is so important for the MCU, though. I mean, you get the introduction of Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Natalie Portman. You get Idris Elba.
It was a bold movie to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty good.
You had Iron Man and Hulk, and then Thor.
Gods
and magic.
But then they did the whole thing. Oh, magic's just science we don't understand, and then they just completely dropped that by the time we get Doctor Strange, which I'm glad. Yeah. WandaVision started out very well, like the first couple episodes, like how it was the 50s sitcom thing, and then it moved on to different sitcoms. But then it got heavy-handed and kind of lost my interest towards the end. I still love the ship of Theseus debate between the visions. So that does give the final episode more points. It's pretty fun.
I don't know. I don't know if I can place it higher than.
But it's not.
Honestly,
I put it right with like Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, because the final act just, and yeah, Agatha Harkness is good, fun, but it's like where they write it off like where the town just accepts that like, oh yeah, she was mind controlling you the whole thing, and like it's fine.
All I can say is that when these shows were coming out, I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier infinitely more. I thought it was so much better.
I thought this was
Because
more visually interesting.
it was, but it
Um,
really dropped very fast after the first few episodes, I thought.
no, after the first, I would still put it. I'll put it at the bottom of C. I don't think
Okay.
it's quite D
Yeah,
because those
okay.
first couple episodes are a lot of fun
Yeah.
with and also they Ralph Bonered us, which I don't know if to give it points for that or subtract points because we thought Fox Quicksilver was going to be in this with Evan Peters, and he kind of was, but then they're like, oh no, actually, it was just this random guy named Ralph Boner.
Yeah.
Um, so that was kind of a big like fuck you to the fans. Like it was so close to like being the first like major multiversal thing, but
Yeah.
they didn't quite do it. What if the first animated adventure and the only animated adventure in the MCU? I think it's a lot of fun, but there's only a couple standout episodes that I remember. I think the
Yeah.
Infinity Ultron arc was a lot of fun. Good stuff. You get these huge cosmic battles, which we've never seen in MCU before,
It
where like
feels like it's
Ultron
the
just
most
eats a galaxy, and like you get
yeah.
Supreme Doctor Strange, all that.
It's the most
Um,
it feels the most out of place out of all of these. Like it's like why is
Not
this
just
in
because it's animated.
but
It's
because
because
it's a what if thing. Like why is this part like it doesn't when I think of the MCU, I don't think of this as
it's
part of the
literally the
MCU at all.
multiverse, like with zero stakes. At
Yeah.
least the multiverse has some stakes in other movies, but this one's just like, let's just do. But it's fun. I mean, I can't really criticize it that much. It is what it's supposed to be, just a
Yeah.
fun cart animated thing. Party Thor was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This is just a
The
tough one
Marvel
because
Zombies things was pretty good. I'm excited. They're gonna do a Marvel
yeah.
Zombie show,
It's just
apparently.
it's just I don't know where to put it because I like it's fun, but it really feels like it's not even MCU.
Right.
Like where like I don't know where this fits.
See?
Yeah, I
Because it's
guess.
not bad or anything. It's fun,
Yeah.
but it's awkward.
I just
I
don't
think.
know. Yeah.
Then we get Multiverse of Madness, which this
Okay.
had a lot of division. A lot of people didn't like it, but
A
I'm
lot
in
of
the group
people
that,
hate this movie.
yeah, but I'm in the group that quite likes this movie. I
I
think it's a
think
lot of fun.
I think it's
I
at
love
least a B
this.
tier.
I love the Sam Raimi-ness of it.
Yeah,
I would
dude.
put
Yeah.
it in A tier. I would put it in
I'm
A
inclined to put it in A
personally.
tier as well. I'm on the same page
I
as you
think
of like,
it's fun. It
yeah,
feels different. It doesn't feel like an MCU movie, even though it's so MCU forward,
it
like with its
has
characters,
I think some of the
it
most
doesn't feel like it.
creative
It
like
feels like a Sam Raimi movie.
yeah, I think it's really creative. Like the fight scene between the two Doctor Stranges where they're throwing music notes at each
The
other.
music, oh yeah, I
That
love the
shit is
creativity
so
here.
good. Like I
It's
love that.
awesome. I mean, I
Um,
love that.
because
And Elizabeth Olsen,
I really like Doctor Strange and the
but it was still
MCU.
too like action forward with its
Yeah, well,
magic,
I love
like
Doctor
fight forward.
Strange, but the MCU has been really safe with Doctor Strange until this movie, where Sam Raimi
Yeah.
was willing to kind of embrace a lot of the weird Doctor Strange stuff,
Wacky and like the
which I really
Evil
liked.
Dead stuff,
Yeah,
I mean, he basically gets a Necronomicon in this movie, and
yeah.
you get the zombie Doctor Strange, and Elizabeth Olsen gets to have a lot of fun with her
Oh,
role as
she's
Scarlet
so
Witch
good in
here,
this. Yeah,
and like proper overpowered cosmic level Scarlet Witch, or
yeah,
which is great, and I think it's a lot of fun. I don't think it quite reaches like the emotional weight of these S tier movies, but
Yeah.
it's quite a lot of
I
fun.
think A
I
tier,
would put
if
it.
at least low A tier, but I'd put it down.
See, I'm a huge Sam Raimi guy, so I would put it like here, but
Yeah,
I'll
I
work
think
with
I
you
would
and
put
put it in
it.
the
I'd put
middle.
it below Infinity War. Yeah,
I'll put it right there in the middle.
and I think, and my reasoning is what you said about like it lacks some emotional weight, with the
Yeah,
exception
because like
of a few
when
scenes.
you see her kill all these characters in the multiverse, you're like, well, but it doesn't really matter because they're not the main ones or anything. But
Yeah,
yeah, you get Patrick Stewart back as Professor X, which
yeah,
he might be the animated series version.
at least a similar type of.
Heavily hints at that.
Mhm.
And from the Deadpool 3 plot leaks, I heard Scarlet Witch might be the main villain again in that.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Um,
Yeah,
so it's Deadpool 3 is
like the
basically going to
Scarlet
be a
Witch
sequel.
like Scarlet Witch fucked up the Fox universe or something like
Yeah,
that.
or yeah, and Deadpool has to fix it or kill it, or I don't know
Yeah,
what's gonna
I don't
happen,
know.
but I heard she's gonna be a pretty big part in it. And but yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. You get Bruce Campbell. He's
Oh
always in
yeah,
Sam Raimi movies.
I
And
love anything with Bruce Campbell in it.
fun Evil Dead stuff. I think America Chavez is fun. I think the
Mm-hmm.
CGI gets a little wonky sometimes, but it's mostly pretty good because there's still
Mm-hmm.
enough practical effects to make it believable.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
just love that we got a
it's a
weird Doctor Strange adventure.
I quite like
Like,
it. I would put it higher personally, but I'll meet you in the middle here, in the
yeah.
middle of A tier. Moon Knight. I wanted this one to be an S
Oh,
tier.
I
I
don't know how
wanted
I
it to
feel
be.
about this one.
As far as MCU shows, I would still put it in A tier. I think it's still much better than
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Falcon
I
Winter
I
Soldier.
thought it was really, really
Um,
good. It's just I have one problem with it, and it's
not enough Moon Knight.
yeah, it's unfortunately it's a big enough problem, despite the quality of the acting and the writing
Oh,
and all of
Oscar
that sort
Isaac's
of stuff.
amazing. I mean, he plays like three different personalities, and
I went into it
uh,
thinking we were getting a Moon Knight show, and Moon Knight is
it's
barely
more of
in
a
it.
character study
Yeah,
of
like
Moon Knight of Mark Spector.
yeah, this is a Mark
And
Spector
Stephen
show.
Grant was fun. I mean,
It's
Oscar Isaac, yeah,
not.
was amazing in this. I loved all the switching between
Yeah,
personalities. Great
but
stuff. And it
but
does
we
have some violence in there, but there's
yeah
so many parts where he blacks out and it's
yeah
like he killed like 15 guys, but you don't get to see it. Like they're too scared to do that yet. Um,
yeah. I just wish we had some more
Khonshu's good.
actual Moon Knight action.
Khonshu was a lot of fun.
It was yeah
Uh,
yeah.
and the big kaiju fight between him and
A rare example
alligator.
of I think how a kaiju fight actually works in an MCU context. I
But
thought it worked
big
here.
Egyptian gods fighting at the pyramids of Giza. I mean, that's pretty fun stuff.
Yeah,
I would put it below Loki in A tier
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
because it's
because
still I still enjoyed it, but like you said, I wanted more Moon Knight
yeah,
action.
yeah.
And
It's my only criticism of the
there's
show.
enough Moon Knight action in there to satisfy to keep me. Well, honestly, I was interested. I was like, okay, this isn't like a Moon Knight heavy, even though it's called Moon Knight and he's on the poster. It's like more of a character study and stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I respect that.
Well, it's
That's
a
cool.
really interesting like story and character study and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. It's just the show's called Moon Knight, and there are entire episodes where there is no Moon Knight.
Yeah. And I just
And
read
that's my problem with it. Like
I just read one of the most like at the time and prep for the show and we did a catching up of comics. I read like some of
right.
the more uh significant Moon Knight runs where you get a lot of Moon Knight and him, fighting
Mhm.
getting in brutal situations and they
I
got
just I
they
just thought
teased
I was
this. They
getting more
teased this.
I thought I was
They
getting
teased
into a more
this.
action heavy Moon Knight heavy show, and it just wasn't. But it was
They
good
very
though.
much
But
so
it was very
teased
good.
this.
What's next?
Um we might have to put some in F tier. We'll finalize it here in a second.
Yeah.
Ms. Marvel.
I haven't seen
Did you see it?
Nope.
It's fun. It's a millennial Gen Z, or more of a Gen Z like teenage comedy. Mon Vellani she's a great Ms. Marvel, and it's pretty awesome because she was like a huge MCU fan, and she never really acted in anything major, and then she tried out for this, and they picked her out. It's pretty cool stuff. She's
That's
actually writing on a Ms. Marvel comic run now.
Oh, cool.
Where Ms. Marvel is a mutant now. She's gonna be an X-Men and whatever.
Oh, I saw something about that. Yeah.
Because it's minor spoiler, they hint that Ms. Marvel's actually a mutant, not an Inhuman. Because the Inhuman series was such an epic fail that it's not even on this list, even though it was technically part of the MCU.
Yeah.
That would have been an easy F tier, even though I haven't seen it. I just heard and know it's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ms. Marvel, I think as far as compared to the other shows, I would put it still in C tier. Below, I would put it right here.
Okay. In between What If
above
and
What
WandaVision.
If, before WandaVision. But it's fun. I mean, it's a watch once, like enjoy once thing. Thor: Love and Thunder.
F tier.
This might be the first F tier. It is the first F tier.
I was thinking about Thor: Love and Thunder recently, and
oh, you were? I tried to block it out.
I've watched it since theaters.
You get a fucking world-class prestige actor, Christian Bale.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
One of the best actors of our generation, of our time. American Psycho, Batman.
And he does a good job too in this movie. They just
wasted him. He's barely utilized. He feels more like a backdrop to this comedy goof thing that
there's a lot
Taika
of
Waititi did.
Individual scenes. Not all of them. I think there's some bad scenes in this movie. But there's a lot of individual...
CGI plays a major part too. It's bad. It's very
there's a lot
bad.
Of
very green screen
scenes I like.
Very volume.
There's a lot of like parts that I like. Just none of them work together as a movie. So I was thinking about this, and you know how like the show Kenobi on Disney Plus felt like it was a movie that was stretched into a TV show. This felt the opposite. This felt like a TV show scrunched into a movie.
Right. I mean, I think Natalie Portman she was fun as Jane Foster Thor.
I think she's fine in it.
But it's so...
It just
the quality's bad. There's a lot of just obvious green screen and
it's
obvious
like if they had instead of releasing a movie, if they had released individual sequences of this movie as YouTube shorts or something.
Right.
I think
there's decent fight
people
sequences.
would have liked it.
And but it's they let Thor Ragnarok, which is an S tier, directed by same director, Taika Waititi. I love his stuff. Flight of Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows. He does great stuff.
Yeah.
But Marvel was like, oh, Thor Ragnarok was a huge hit. Let's give him full control, writing control and everything.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
Bad choice. Yeah. He's obviously better when there's some restraint. It just went too goofy. And not in like a funny way. Like it was almost unfunny sometimes. And I mean, Russell Crowe was pretty fun as Zeus, I guess. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's, toxic fans complaining about his version of Zeus. And I'm like, honestly, that's one of the most accurate versions I've seen of Zeus.
I think he's a great Zeus.
Just like, period. Like just... drunk,
pompous, just
party throwing, pompous, orgy having Zeus.
I think Russell Crowe is great.
Yeah,
I know. It's just that the whole movie,
but it's an MCU movie. I refuse to see again. Like I never want to watch it again. I was so excited for it. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get another Ragnarok type movie."
Yeah.
And man, it just showed that Ragnarok, I guess, was just like lightning in the bottle. Like, and also,
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't have Tom Hiddleston as Loki. It didn't, it just felt so cheap and so rushed. And I think that's all we gotta leave it at.
Yeah.
She-Hulk,
Uh, I'd put it a.
D. Where would you put it?
I was gonna put it in C tier, but I guess I would
Low
go.
C,
I
low
don't know.
C, I
I don't know. The
guess.
thing is, I think a lot of She-Hulk was really good. Like
The finale,
the
though.
highs were really high, but the lows were real. Like the finale was such a mess. That was a
CGI
terrible.
was the She-Hulk CGI was inconsistent, but I can get over that because it's
It
a
was a TV
show.
show, whatever. Yeah.
And
The finale was
but
just so bad. It was
yeah, it went so meta with the fourth wall
like
breaking
it was like
thing.
I'm like halfway through the finale. I'm just like, what's going on? I'm confused. What
It's
am I
like
watching?
let's outdo Deadpool because technically She-Hulk was the first character to break the fourth wall. So
Yeah.
let's outdo Deadpool, but not in a clever way.
Yeah. No,
Let's
I
just blatantly break the universe for a
but
joke. I don't know. It just didn't feel
yeah.
right.
I thought the
It
portrayal of
felt
the character
cringe.
was great. I thought the actress was great.
Yeah,
Um,
Tatiana,
I thought
whatever her last
the
name is.
episode that heavily featured Daredevil
Daredevil,
was
high
really
point.
good.
Even though
Um,
they made him slightly goofy, it
that
wasn't too
was
bad. It didn't
it worked.
ruin his character. Like Charlie Cox was
Yeah,
still
I
Charlie
mean,
Cox.
Daredevil doesn't always have to be serious. He can be goofy sometimes.
No, he can be goofy, and the
So
yellow suit was fun, and
yeah,
he still got a hallway fight, and he still felt like the same character, but just not just depressed. So
I like we got Tim Roth back. Although
yeah, I guess I'd
I
put
was a
this in
little bummed
C.
out to see him not turn into Abomination, like other than for a quick gag.
Yeah, Abomination just felt like a gag. A lot of this just felt like a
He was
gag.
great in it, but it
I would
was
put it below What If.
I guess my biggest problem, other than the final episode, which is just an absolute mess, but is that it doesn't really feel like it has a through line plot. It's just like the shenanigans of She-Hulk. Like
Wait, did we even talk about Thor: The Dark World at all?
we didn't talk about it, but we threw it in. Like we didn't really.
I just threw it. The Dark Elf stuff was kind of fun. Loki's still fun. Uh,
It's just very forgettable.
very forgettable. In fact,
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Wakanda Forever. Now, I'm gonna have to watch this again because maybe I was just on a high or something.
I have issues with that movie.
I I will say I've only seen it once, so that tells you something. But compared to like Quantum Mania, it at least felt more. It felt grittier. It felt more practical.
I disagree.
But even though there is its fair share of CGI stuff, a lot of nano suit stuff,
It
which has
was
become a problem.
yeah.
I thought Namor was great.
He was until the third act.
The third act definitely weighs it down
The third act
quite a
is
lot
one of the worst third acts in any Marvel movie, I
of
think.
any. Yeah, it
It's
was very
so
rushed.
bad. It's the writing is confusing in the third act. It doesn't know what it wants to be doing.
Also, I
It
respect that they didn't.
devolves into a generic battle scene. And then
Yes,
it even like gets confusing cinematically because it's cutting between a battle scene and a personal fight scene, and it changes the aspect ratio between these shots, which I get they were probably trying to make it like easy to tell what scene you're watching, but it didn't work. It's disorienting.
I mean I like the links they went at. I mean when they did the underwater scenes with Namor and Atlantis or whatever they call it now. It's like more Aztec based, which that's cool.
Yeah. I think
When
there's some beautiful art
they
direction in this
actually filmed
movie.
that underwater, like the actors set
Yeah.
underwater on set, which is cool. There's a lot
There's
of beautiful
some
shots.
great art direction.
But
Ironheart.
I respect that they didn't recast T'Challa.
Yeah.
But Chadwick Boseman even said not to recast him
Yeah.
himself. And
Ironheart
the whole idea is like
barely a character,
Ironheart
and she
never
does
should have been in
nothing
this.
of consequence.
Nope.
Like,
she was just there because they wanted to introduce her for her show in the future, which might not be happening. So
that's a shame because the actress was good, and I would like to see Ironheart in an actual.
But I know
role.
Marvel, Bob Iger, since Bob Iger's been back at Disney as CEO. He's even said recently that they have to take a step back and stop doing so much Marvel and Star Wars content and be more focused again.
I mean,
which I think is smart.
It's probably smart, yeah. No, Ironheart is the only thing of consequence she does in the movie happens before the movie starts. She invents that device that they're trying to track.
Yeah,
down.
and we never see it.
And then I wanted to see her, and she does nothing.
I wanted to see her origin story, where she reverse engineers Stark Tech and all that, and we don't get that.
She doesn't do any of that. She uses Wakanda gear to make her own suit. She doesn't turn the tides of the battle, and then she doesn't even get to keep her fucking suit.
She doesn't get to keep the suit. It's very CGI. It's
like what was the
has
point?
No weight to it.
Like she doesn't keep the suit, which means they're not even setting her up to already have the suit for her own show. No, she has to create her own suit again. Like what was all that about? There's no
purpose.
Yeah, it'd be like in Civil War. It would be like in Civil War if they brought in Spider-Man, but they basically just had him be a lookout and didn't do anything in the battle, and then Tony said, "Oh yeah, and you don't get to keep the suit."
Right.
Like,
so it's like,
what's the point? He didn't
turn
the tide of the battle. They don't set him up for the next movie. Like what? Like
Shuri is the new Black Panther, the reluctant Black Panther, and I mean her taking up the mantle. I mean, it was a good character arc, but the way they wrote off T'Challa was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You're literally in the super civilization of Wakanda, and he had a heart attack or whatever.
I don't know what it was. Yeah.
It was stupid.
I don't know. I think Shuri and Namor, their characters are the highlights.
I'm excited to see more Namor.
But
definitely.
Yeah, I have issues with that movie. I think
it's where are we gonna put it? I mean, because there is a lot of things I like about it. I love when the Atlanteans show up on the ship and they during the siren song and everything, and the score there, the shots there, the bridge battle felt very Winter Soldier.
It has some very good, like really good, well done moments, but I have more issues with that movie than I have with most MCU movies. Like, I don't know.
Low C, just to compromise.
Low C, maybe. I don't know.
Where do you want to put it?
I kind of want to put it in a high D tier, because at least Captain Marvel was a fun romp.
I've seen that
by
more than
the
once.
End of the movie, I was upset. I was angry with this movie the first time I watched it.
But I've only seen it once though. I haven't. Yeah. It's long enough where I don't feel like it's easy to see it again. And I want to put it down with Thor: The Dark World.
That's where I want to put it. That's my, because this is the only MCU movie, but by the end of the movie, I was upset.
But not as upset as Love and Thunder.
No, I wasn't upset at
Love and Thunder actively pissed me off.
No, Love and Thunder, I think, is not a good movie, but I at least was laughing at some of the scenes when I was in the theaters. Well, this one, I watched it on Disney Plus, and I was upset by the end of it.
I guess since you want to rank it so low, I'll put it at the high end of the D tier.
Okay.
Love
I
it,
have
but by the way, like Love and Thunder like actively pissed me off because like they reached such a great balance with with Chris Hemsworth's comedic chops and Ragnarok, where he still felt like a real serious character sometimes, but he had funny moments. But
yeah.
and then Love and Thunder they made him a goof, just a complete goof.
Yeah, no, Love and Thunder
Anyways,
was like in the theaters. I at the end I was like, oh, that's a bummer. That
yeah,
this
it bummed me
actively
out.
by the end of the movie, I was like, I need to rant to someone about this. This movie pissed me off. This movie, like that
You
third
know
act
what?
tanked.
I'll have to watch it again, but I'll put it where you wanted it.
Yeah, it that third
Anyways,
act just completely tanked the movie more than any other MCU movie.
next we kind of have an oddball in the mix. We have a couple of oddballs coming up. Werewolf by Night. I thought it was a lot of fun. A great Halloween special. I hope to
Yeah.
see more of it. Cool that it was like completely disconnected from the MCU. It was just this fun, classic Universal monster thing. I mean,
I thought it was awesome.
Solid A tier,
I would agree. I have really no issues with it.
like right in the middle there.
Yeah.
Ant-Man Quantumania, that actually might be another F for me.
I would probably agree. Yeah. I liked it
I
more than Love and Thunder.
only a little bit. It still
But
had a very similar energy to it, where it was very green screeny, just overly CGI. It was. I watched it a second time, thinking maybe I'll like it more this time, like in the comfort of my home, drinking. No,
I
I
was
liked
just
it
told by
less.
people, I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it on Disney Plus. I was told by people that had Spy Kids energy. And
big Spy Kids energy.
that's pretty much
I
right.
did tell you it felt very Star Wars.
Yeah, except that Spy Kids,
but not in a
at
good
least
way.
has that exaggerated Robert Rodriguez like flair to it. This didn't have that at least.
But it didn't know what it wanted.
Like
And
maybe
yeah,
if
you
this
get
movie had
Darren
Machete
Crossback.
in it, just like the Spy Kid movies, I would have liked it a little bit more.
And Bill Murray was like barely in it. I thought he was gonna do
I
a
was
bit more in
excited
it.
for that, but
he's like, Paul Rudd's still good. I mean, I still like Paul Rudd, and honestly, Jonathan Majors' performance as Kang could put it in D, possibly. He really carries this movie.
But he's not even
Kang.
he's not in a lot of the movie though. He's in like
he's not in a lot of it. He's in the like third act pretty much. Yeah. And at the same time, even though his performance is good, the movie is just trying so hard to be like, this is the new Thanos. That this guy's way worse than Thanos. It doesn't feel, you don't care. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just a CGI wash, and it still has fun moments in it. Like if we were ranking this with other just superhero movies in general, it might be like a D or a low C. Because trust me, there's really bad superhero movies out there, worse than this even.
But I don't know. The main thing
within the context of MCU.
Yeah, the main thing it does over Love and Thunder is like, you know, you talk about Jonathan Majors is a great villain. He's really good. Christian Bale was really good in Love and Thunder. But Love and Thunder is a mess. Like it doesn't follow scene to scene. It's just
this at least follows.
Stupid.
You can understand it.
Yeah, this at least has
feels very Star Wars. I mean,
yeah, this at least has a coherent through line. Like you know what's going on. Like, yeah.
But I can easily say it's an F.
Yeah.
I mean, I had high expectations for it too. I was like, this is their introduction of Kang proper, and you know, this is gonna be epic, and then it was just a big fart.
Yeah. What's next?
Next we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is one of my favorite Christmas specials like ever.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
They
I
played
mean,
Fairy Tale in New York as the cap of, the beginning and ending of the
yeah,
special.
I love that song.
And
And
it's
Kevin Bacon
my
playing himself.
sister loved this. She does not follow the MCU. She watches a superhero movie every once in a while. But she thought this was a great like Christmas special. Yeah, Kevin Bacon
It was just
as
fun.
himself, and you
I think
get some good genuine character
this
moments.
might
Like
be
it actually,
a
it's not
Christmas thing that
like,
I watch every year now. Like,
well, me too, and it's a fun Christmas thing, but it also contributes to the Guardian story, to Star Lord's story, and you get the reveal that Mantis is Star Lord's sister and everything,
yeah,
and which I guess makes sense because the ego, but it it was a good just like emotional break for these characters and for the audience. Just
yeah.
a fun, heartfelt Christmas
Where do you
special.
think it should
And the
go?
bit Mantis and Drax, getting drunk in LA,
Yeah.
and like the whole bit where Drax is like, I want that little man. She's like, what, the candy cane thing?
Oh yeah, that's a fun
It's like,
little.
that's not a man. Like, there's a lot of good
That's a
humor.
fun little
Um,
subplot. Is them with
I would put
the
it,
candy cane and stuff.
it's still ultimately just a Christmas special. I would put it at A tier. Um,
I don't know, maybe
where
low A tier.
would you
I
put
don't
it
know.
below Werewolf by Night?
I think it would. I think Werewolf by Night is more like critically impressive,
Yeah,
if that
but I
makes
would still, I
sense.
wouldn't put it that. I would put it. I want to put it above Black Panther. It's weird putting the shows with the movies.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
would put
let
it right
yeah,
around there.
go on.
Last one, you haven't seen this.
Yep.
Guardians Galaxy Volume 3. It's gonna be coming out on Disney Plus like August 2nd, I think. So you definitely gotta
Yeah.
watch it when it comes
I'm gonna be
out.
watching as soon as it's out.
It's
Yeah.
honestly just listen. I've seen it twice, so I got to evaluate it properly. It's honestly one of my favorite MC movies ever.
Nice.
Easy. It
Nice.
caps off the Guardians trilogy perfectly. It makes Guardians 2 feel better, and it's solidifies Guardians trilogy as one of the top tier trilogies of the MCU. What it does with these characters is just so good. The emotional weight, it's comedic, but it doesn't ruin emotional moments with jokes.
Yeah.
Like it takes its time to actually make you sad, make you cry. And like it gets into Rocket's origin story and how fucked up that is, and like with the High Evolutionary,
Yeah.
um it's gross, it's violent, it's very James Gunn. Like it was James Gunn's swan song in MCU before he's uh in charge of the DCU. And
Hmm.
for me it would be an S tier, but you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, but I'll trust you on that.
For me, it would be honestly like, wait,
Yeah, right. Like,
right around there. It would be right
yeah.
around there. I think if it would be, you got to see it so we can really talk about it, but I just myself, I can't not put it in S tier.
Hmm.
It's not just a fun movie. It's got all the beats of the other Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It has a fun soundtrack. It has the good character moments, comedy, but this has a lot more, even more heart to it, a lot more emotional weight, and
Yeah.
amazing action sequences too. Like there's a hallway fight in this, which are hallway fights are always great.
Oh yeah.
So,
I love a good
and
hallway
it's
fight.
like they somehow did the hallway fight with a team ensemble better than you could imagine.
Nice.
And a little plot details. I mean, so the Gamora in this one, she's the one that time traveled. That's from the different universe,
Yeah.
essentially. She's not the same Gamora, so you have that dynamic with her and Star Lord, and she's like a really rough around the edges, basically just a ass. I mean, just a asshole. And
Yeah.
but that's a lot of fun, and you get a similar dynamic where she doesn't know Star Lord anymore. She doesn't remember because this version never met. But you get a
uh,
similar dynamic between like Peter and MJ, and then Peter and Gamora. But Peter Quill's actively trying to get back with Gamora, and you just see it
right.
just fall flat on his face, and that awkwardness. And yeah, Mantis is his sister now. Nebula, I mean, Karen Gillan, great. I mean, she gets to have a lot of fun in this one. She's a primary character this time.
Nice. Yeah.
um get Cosmo the space dog.
Nice.
And Dave Bautista, I know he's done with playing Drax, but damn, he's a great Drax.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's pretty mostly just the comedic relief, but he's got some emotional moments. And then Rocket, I mean, he's the main character of this film.
Nice. Yeah. No, I'll have to watch it when it comes
It
out. Yeah.
it's
On Disney Plus.
I can honestly tell you from as a fan of these movies, and then also from a critical standpoint, it's one of the MCU's best, like
Nice.
easily. Now, do you want to rearrange some things because
I
things have shifted kind of
I still
unintentionally? I mean,
feel
we have
pretty good
Civil War at the bottom of S tier, which I don't think. I mean, I think that should be
yeah.
maybe there. Or do you want
I
it
feel
below Winter
I
Soldier?
feel pretty good about I think I want it below Winter Soldier. I feel pretty good about this ranking. Let me think. Maybe I'd stick Ant-Man and the Wasp above Iron Man 2. Um I think that is a pretty fun movie. What do you think?
Yeah, I won't argue against that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel pretty good about this ranking.
Um, so I'm gonna quickly go through this, and then we're gonna end this thing. And if you don't want to listen to the rest of this, be sure to follow us at Odd Drunk Pod on Instagram and check out our link tree. Give us a rating review on your platform of choice. Download if you want to listen
Yeah.
on the road when you don't have Wi-Fi or whatever. Anyways,
And
at
we'll
S tier we have
we'll post this
yeah, we'll
on
post this
Instagram,
image. Yeah, I'll save it right now. But at S tier, we have Iron Man, then Avengers Endgame, Guardians Galaxy 3, my choice, Captain America Winter Soldier, Civil War, Thor Ragnarok. At A tier, you have Guardians Galaxy, Infinity War, Multiverse of Madness, Werewolf by Night, Black Panther, No Way Home, Loki, Guardians Holiday Special, Moon Knight. B tier, you have Guardians 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Avengers, First Avenger, Far From Home, Shang-Chi, Hawkeye. C tier, you have Ant-Man, Age of Ultron, Thor, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 2, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Iron Man 3, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, What If, She-Hulk. D
A
tier,
lot of
you
the
have Captain
shows bunched
Marvel.
in the same spot there.
Yeah, aside from Loki and A tier. Well, and Moon Knight, we put that in A
Yeah.
tier. But most of the shows are C's. And then D, you have Captain Marvel, Thor the Dark World, uh, Wakanda Forever, Black Widow. And then F tier, definite F tier is like I easily agree with Colton on this one. There's no dissenting arguments here. Ant-Man Quantumania and Thor Love and Thunder. big, more like Thor: Love and Blunder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And neither one of us has
More
seen
like
the Eternals, so
right. That's
we
haven't
can't
seen
rank it.
yet. So
I
I
think
mean
the only one
that
on here
almost.
that is up for debate is Wakanda Forever. Um,
I
but
mean, you're on the verge of putting an F tier, and I'm on the verge of at least putting it in B tier.
yeah,
But I think since you hate it so much, and I've only seen it once, so I can't really remember everything.
it
And
just really it
the
just
fact that I
really
haven't gone back to it shows
yeah.
that there's something missing there.
It really just
Uh,
grinds my gears because there's a lot of really good stuff about it, and just the bad stuff really fucks it all up.
stands out,
Like
yeah.
really bad in my opinion. But anyway,
But this isn't, yeah. And I think that's fair to put it that low since I put Guardians 3S and you haven't seen it.
yeah.
But you got to see that one for
Oh,
sure.
I will.
Um,
Yes.
you'll like it a lot. Anyways, that is our MCU ranking thus far.
Yes.
We will update this in the future when we come to another good stopping point whenever they do the Avengers movie or whatever.
Yeah, at some
Or maybe
point.
like by the time in like the next 10 years. Or maybe by the time Deadpool 3 comes out, we'll just chuck it in real quick.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe we'll do, like a Deadpool episode and just chuck
MCU
it
is
in
one
there.
of those things where it's hard to do. It's hard to keep a tier list updated.
Well, and also like with the multiverse thing where they retcon the other movies to like kind of being in the MCU.
Yeah.
So like
God, do we need to do
all the Spider-Man movies,
a tier
all the
list with every Marvel
Deadpool
property that's ever been adapted
maybe
into
separate
a movie?
from MCU, like the Fox Marvel movies. That'd be interesting, or
That'd be an easier tier list to do, I think.
right. Anyways, we will see you next week. Stay frosty.
This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The Odd Drunk Podcast recommends you follow their Instagram and join their Facebook group for more fun content. To visit all of our current streaming and social media platforms, visit the link tree in the description. If you enjoy the show, we would be appreciated it if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The Odd Drunk Podcast would like to remind you to drink responsibly and not to drink and drive. Okay, Colton, you can roll the outro now.